price reductions on selected build years. There's a Formula Honda offer for everyone. Don't wait. Hurry into Formula Honda at Glen Osmond Road, Glen Osmond, or North East Road, Modbury to find your perfect Honda. Offer excludes additional maintenance work or items. See honda.com.au for terms and conditions.
Stanford Mowers, real goers.
Stanford Mowers has closed their Jeps Cross store. But don't worry, there'll be a new one soon. You can still get all your garden equipment needs online at stanfordmowers.com.au and have them delivered right across Adelaide. In the meantime, if you want to visit in-store, you can still find everything you need at Stanford Mowers in Mount Barker or Murray Bridge. You'll find everything you need to know at stanfordmowers.com.au.
Everything under the sun cops a beating from UV rays, so cover things up. They last longer, and the same goes for you. 2 in 3 Australians will be diagnosed with skin cancer, and melanoma actually kills twice as many men as women. And it starts with checking the UV daily and remembering to slip, slop, slap, sleek, and slide every day. But there's plenty more sun smarts where that came from. Did you know that it takes 20 minutes for sunscreen to fully activate, and it only works for up to 2 hours? Caps offer far less protection than broad brim hats, and when the UV is 3 and above, it can cause permanent damage to your skin. Don't be a statistic. Be sun smart. Cover up and protect your skin. And as always, check out the FIVEAA YouTube and Facebook live stream to see today's maximum UV.
I was born through an assisted reproductive treatment in South Australia. I'm curious about my mum's anonymous.
Up with FIVEAA, David Penberthy and Will Goodings, Tom Wren for sport, Jade Robran on the scene as it happens, Graham Goodings and Jess Adamson with the news that matters to Adelaide. Breakfast with David and Will, bringing together the names you trust with everything you need to know to start your day. Always live, always local, and only on FIVEAA. Always Adelaide. FIVEAA.
The Hyundai Keys to Summer event ends soon. Unlock offers now. Visit Hyundai.com.au.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, FIVEAA Breakfast.
8 minutes after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Monday on FIVEAA Breakfast, the 24th of March. Trust you enjoyed a wonderful weekend. We've got you covered with all that's going on around Adelaide, Australia and the world this morning. Starting in the United States this hour with Miley Hogan, who will get you across the latest with regard to the Ukraine peace deal. The elephant in the room very much appears to be now what becomes of territory in Ukraine's east. Stacy Lee will talk state politics. She hosted the leaders' debate on Friday. Looking forward to her account of how that all unfolded. The reviews afterwards were particularly uncharitable for the opposition leader, Vincent Tarzia, but we'll talk more about that over the course of the morning. We're going to be heading to a pet shop in Noarlunga that was the victim of a peculiar crime of a rare form of snake. They're concerned about its well-being. We'll be chatting to them. And also, after 8:30, the Good Karma coffee van was robbed at the end of last week. They don't have any insurance because they've been pushed to the wall running a small business. They're going to be on the show after 8:30 today, essentially saying goodbye to a business they ran in the best of intentions, but unfortunately butted up against the wrong sort of people. David Penberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, listeners. I reckon when you finally exit this mortal coil and have your moment of reckoning with the Almighty, Rowan Atkinson style, you know, the roll call, do you go to heaven or hell? If you've robbed the Good Karma coffee van, I reckon that's a pretty big black mark against your name.
I would have thought.
Like if you of the criminal sort of ilk, of the criminal persuasion, you know, chosen the path of the bludger as opposed to, like, you know, getting a job like everybody else and trying to, you know, save money through legitimate toil. If you go, all right, I'm going to rob something today, but you see that it's called the Good Karma coffee van, don't you sort of stop and think, hang on, these people look like they're actually, you know, out there doing some good in the community. Are
you guilty of overestimating the average petty criminal that they don't even know what the concept of karma is?
It's like robbing a salvo. It's like loitering outside the pub on a Friday night when the salvo lady's walking around with a little wooden box selling the war cry. Do they still sell the war cry?
I don't know. It's a great question. I'm sure someone will be able to let us know.
Do we have any salvos listening? We used to play this great game at Work Drinks on a Friday at the Criterion. When the salvos would come in, selling the war cry, would always buy a copy, and you'd play this game. How many people are there in the war cry wearing spectacles? And sometimes you'd get, it could be more than 100.
Was it a percentage or was it a total number?
No, you'd sit down with your mates over beers and you'd count how many people there were in the war cry wearing glasses. Because sometimes you get these group shots of, the 72nd Annual Salvation Army Convention held in Port Vila, Vanuatu, and there'd be one entire page of group shots of people all standing there in their salvos gear. So you might get, 76 people with glasses on the one page. Some editions you only get 15. It'd just be like big display shots of people. It was a good game.
Well, let us know. Bingo. Let us know if we've got any salvos listening. We'd love to hear from you.
Do you still publish the war cry?
0248 081395. Police Home Care text line. Yeah, I know of the war cry.
Yeah. Maybe it's gone the way of...
Maybe it has.
A lot of print publications, like the Trading Post. Is there still a hard copy Trading Post?
I don't think there is there?
No,
I think that was a story when it went entirely online.
A lot of the messages.
But it's also been superseded, unfortunately, hasn't it, by things like Facebook Marketplace?
Yeah, correct.
It sort of became the default way of selling stuff you don't want.
Were people ever beaten up selling stuff on Trading Post like they are in car parks and stuff on Facebook Marketplace?
It's a good question.
It's all part of Mark Zuckerberg's commitment to making the world a more sociable place, isn't it?
But that one's more about maybe how the world's changed than the carrier service, isn't it? Because
the world's changed, but the tech bros are there to help it change, aren't they?
Oh, look, they haven't stood in the way of the worst
really give
excesses of what social media has meant for the world, have they?
No.
But it's a good question. I mean, because the nature of the exchange is the same. It's a complete stranger. You've got to arrange to meet in a place.
Yeah.
All those things you would have had to do previously. Or maybe it's just the ease of access with Facebook. There's no barrier to entry because Trading Post you had to pay for an ad, didn't you?
Yeah.
So when it's free, you invite nefarious types, don't you? Inevitably.
The Tizer had a lift out for a while called Weekend Shopper, which had the really unfortunate launch edition. Do you know that story? Great story, media.
Please do tell.
Stuff up. They had this lovely picture that they ran on the very first cover of Weekend Shopper, which was their attempt to sort of muscle into the Trading Post type space. And they had a picture of this young, lovely looking woman in her early 20s probably, and she was like on this 4-poster bed, and she was sort of lying down with her chin on her hands folded into a V, smiling like that on the bed. She was not on the pillow end of the bed, she was on the foot end of the bed, looking happily at the photographer with the back of the 4-poster bed behind her. And they didn't realise, and the photo ran, it was the cover of the first ever edition of Weekend Shopper, but just up in the top left-hand corner on the one of the posts on the bed was a pair of handcuffs.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
How'd they get there?
I don't know. Someone must have just left them there.
Just had them lying around.
Yeah.
Oh, there are my cuffs.
That's right.
Was the person...
Maybe she was a copper.
A member of the constabulary.
No, I don't think she was.
Okay,
yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, that's intriguing.
But everyone thought it was hilarious except for the editor. He was really upset.
We used to have the buy, swap and sell program on Saturday and Sunday mornings on 5AA, and if you hosted the Midnight to Dawn show, you had to host it. It started at 5:30.
Did you host it? Tell me you hosted it.
I hosted it all the time. For 2 years, I hosted it.
That would have been awesome
on weekends. And you'd have people. The phone lines would go off every day. Lots of people ringing in. But you started to notice some trends, and there was a guy, I remember at one point, he called in, he said, yeah, g'day, well, yeah, I've got a 42-inch TV, and happy to take any offers. I went, Reg, did you get rid of that TV last week? Yeah, well, yep, managed to move it. You got another TV again this week? And he went, yeah, that's right. I said, do you mind me asking where you got the TV from? And he said, oh, well, it just fell off the back of a truck, mate. Fell off the back of a truck. Kind of spoiled the segment. It disappeared shortly after that, I think.
It should have been called, conversion hour.
It was...
Which is conversion being it's the criminal charge for selling stolen goods, isn't it?
I think the odd day I had suspicions about what was going on and where it all come from.
Hello, Will. I got this lovely Wedgwood dinner setting. Apologies to our Eastern London listeners.
15 minutes after 6. It is Monday, the 24th of March, and we've got news headlines coming up for you on the other side of this break.
We're interrupting your show. Sorry, because Binge Basic is now just $4.99 a month for 12 months. That's a bingillion hours of entertainment for less than $5 a month. Offer ends March 31st, so head to binge.com.au/4. New and returning customers only.
Adelaide's local, trusted and truly connected talkback radio station. 5AA. Always Adelaide.
We chose to use Paint Professionals because they were referred to us by a previous client who was very impressed with the work that they had done and recommended them highly to us.
Paint Professionals turned the job around so quickly from the initial quotation straight through to completion.
Paint Professionals provided us with a very professional service. We're extremely happy with the outcome of it.
Painting an entire house or just a room? Make it a great experience with Paint Professionals. Visit paintprofessionals.com.au.
5AA's Tech Talk with your host, Adelaide tech guy Richard Pascoe. Thanks to Harvey Norman Computers.
Harvey Norman is bringing the heat with massive savings on HP and Asus laptops. For a limited time, you can save up to 20%. Yes, 20%. Need a lightweight, reliable laptop for work or study? The HP 14S with 8GB of RAM is now just $598, saving you $130. For power users, the Asus VivoBook 15 with a huge 1TB of storage is now $888. That's over $300 off. Or step up to serious performance with the HP Intel Core Ultra 5 laptop boasting 16GB of RAM, a steal at $1,098, saving you $600. Harvey Norman delivers the best brands, the best range, and the best prices guaranteed. Don't miss out on these tech bargains. Shop now. Terms and conditions apply.
Check out this great offer at a Harvey Norman store near you.
Looking for the perfect day trip? A place that caters for groups? A place that can offer set price lunches including a hot Dutch lunch, coffee or tea and a slice of homemade cake?
Well, have you tried the Netherlands? Perfect for a day trip. And by the Netherlands, what I'm saying is the Dutch Pantry there in Clemzig, because it's a bit like a little Dutch village where you'll find authentic Dutch products, fresh produce, freshly baked cakes, a cafe bursting with delicious Dutch meals for brekkie, brunch or lunch.
Don't need to go to Holland, just Clemzig. If you're a coordinator or a carer looking for new experiences for a group, give Ange a call and ask about her set menu option.
While you're there, take a leisurely stroll past the windmill, admire the tulips and the collection of Delft Blue. Experience the Netherlands right here in SA. It's at the Dutch Pantry, located on OG Road, Clemzig.
Wonderful spot. Just look for the big windmill.
Here at 5AA, we're all about supporting local. Check out Cirque Calibante's A Freak on Cirque at Gluttony, a spectacular international circus inspired by daily life in Guinea. Book tickets now at gluttony.net.au.
Discover the world with Bunnock Tours and Phil Hoffman Travel. Family run sits forever. Travel with these small group specialists with just enough guidance and freedom to explore. Dive deep into the heart of each destination with sightseeing and tipping included. Plus return airfares on most tours. From ancient pyramids to bustling bazaars. Discover more of what you came to see with Bunnock Tours, because it's who you go with that matters. Visit pht.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube. The Hyundai Keys to Summer event ends soon. Unlock offers now. Visit hyundai.com.au.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
Well, Friday. 90 minutes after 6. Let's jump into the news headlines on this Monday morning. 4 people, including a 6-year-old boy, have been found trapped in floodwater as they travelled between SA and the Northern Territory. They haven't yet been rescued, but they have had food supplies delivered. Police had been searching for the lost black Holden Captiva since 4 p.m. on Friday. The group was found about 20 k's south of the NT border last night. Torrential rain in the area means the rescue effort that's going to be launched a little bit later today might be a little bit difficult, they're anticipating, to execute. But the good news is they've been found. They have food. They will be rescued, but it gives you some indication they weren't even able to do it straight away. They're doing it at some point in time later today. But that one, as we know from the past, can go wrong very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely it can. Yeah, good luck to them.
Fire has destroyed a number of vehicles in a yard at Ullebury last night. Rachel Guy from the CFS says the cause is so far unknown.
Firefighters on 8 trucks arrived at approximately 9:15 p.m. to find the fire had spread through multiple items, including a forklift, car, quad bike, excavator, and ute. The fire is now contained approximately 15 metres from the house.
We'll keep an eye on that one over the course of the day and see if we can get to the bottom of what's happened there.
Something sus going on there, surely.
After 38 days in hospital, Pope Francis has headed back to the Vatican. Doctors say he almost died twice over his 5-week hospital stint with double pneumonia. They've since ordered him to take 2 months of rest. There's been speculation over whether Pope Francis will resign, but he said in the past this is a role for life. Dr. Sergio Alfieri, who had been treating the Pope, says he'll still need some time to make a full recovery.
During his hospitalization, the Holy Father clinical conditions presented 2 very critical episodes in which the Holy Father life was in danger.
Quite the comeback by His Holiness, isn't it?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, we thought he was in deep strife.
Well, there's a sort of coded language about illness, isn't there, sometimes, when the spokespeople talk.
Oh, well, they were basically saying, he's... well, they almost said he's entering his final days, or it sounded like it.
Without wanting to be indelicate, I don't know what they used to make the brown smoke, but it feels like they were finding it.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't you think?
Exactly.
The Adelaide Fringe...
Something you can't get on the PBS.
I wouldn't have thought. That's right. The Adelaide Fringe is finished for 2025 after 5 weeks across the city. There have been 1,400 shows staged, 500 venues were used. A box office value in excess of $27 million is expected to be finalised, as well as final ticket sales exceeding 1 million for the 3rd year in a row.
Don't you think in this job, yet another year has gone by where I have not gone to a single thing at the Fringe. And part of the problem is like getting up this early. It's like, I don't know, I'd like to go to the Spiegel tent and see a guy stick his head through a tennis racket, but it's such a great... We had Heather in the other day, and it's such a juggernaut for South Australia.
It's so democratic.
Yeah, it's good.
It
is good.
It's the entry points of... Like, my entry point this year was taking Rosie, my daughter, to Gluttony to run around the pond chasing ducks.
Yeah.
Like, that cost us nothing. We went in there and spent some money on food, but it's a Fringe venue.
So you didn't even see anything?
Oh, we saw one comedian. Alice and I went off and saw a show at one point.
Yeah, right.
But that can be your entry point, or you can go
so
see...
did Rosie like Dave Chappelle?
Yeah, she did. She thought it was hilarious, roaring in the aisles.
That's right. Laboured the trans stuff a bit.
He got a bit political, old Dave, in his old age.
That's right.
Speaking of politics, new Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has called a snap election just 10 days after being sworn into office. So the Canadian elections end up being called before the Australian election, funnily enough. It's going to take place on the 28th of April.
So he's the Liberal guy, isn't he?
He replaced
to Trudeau.
He's replaced Trudeau. He's the Prime Minister right now.
Normally, Canadian elections, you hear that and it's like...
Yeah, we wouldn't even mention it.
No, I don't think we've ever mentioned a Canadian election.
We haven't.
In Canadian history.
Because we look at foreign elections and we often talk about them, namely the US, because of their impact on Australia. Now, the Canadian election doesn't have a great deal of impact on Australia. But this is like ground zero for Donald Trump's war on allies.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be fascinating
These are the libs that they look like the WA Liberals about 2 months ago.
To put it in its proper context, when you say Liberal in Canada, you mean...
That's their left party.
The ALP.
Yeah, so
but they're even more left-wing than the ALP.
They are. They're the Liberals and they're Conservatives. The Conservatives are in the box seat until Donald Trump started talking about Canada as the 51st state.
That's
a few people said,
all that beautiful land.
Don't want any part of this.
One great big land mass.
Back here in Australia, there's been interesting news poll analysis in the Oz. Female support for Labor has dropped below 30% for the first time. Looks like the women voters are off both of the major political parties, according to the analysis there. Women voters turning their support to the Greens, who now command, according to that analysis, 15% of the female primary vote.
No need to get silly about this.
Let's not get extreme.
That's right, exactly.
That's just insane.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the weather for today and the rest of the week. I did have a glimpse of this earlier, and doesn't look like there's a lot of rain on the way. 15.7 degrees outside in the city at the moment. 29 the expected top. Today, a nice sunny 29 degrees, 31 tomorrow, 31 on Wednesday. It's going to get to 32 on Thursday. Later in the week, 32 Friday, 32 Saturday, and then on Sunday, it'll be 30 degrees. None of those days featuring really any chance of rain whatsoever. You cover the barbecue to protect it from the sun. The same goes for you. Be sun smart and cover up. Tom Wren is in the 5AA Breakfast studio. If you've just been spying his stealthy entry on the Facebook and YouTube live stream to wrap what was a big weekend in footy and big 24 hours in Australian sport as well. Gliderol Garage Doors, adding strength, style and safety to your home. Gliderol.com.au. Morning, Rennie.
Morning, Will. Morning, David. We'll start with the football. You called the game, Will, before I did the Port game later on. And the Crows, wow, they look like they've got their attacking mojo back, don't they? 25 goals, 2 from 2, and they dismantled Essendon. I was really confident heading in, and they've delivered. They've got 0 injuries. They're flying at the moment. They've just got to cash in. They've got North Melbourne this week, but the Josh Rochelle looks reborn. You know, he looks motivated. Darcy Fogarty and Riley Thilthorpe are a real handful up forward, and the midfield looks it's as dynamic as we've seen it in a decade. You know, with Sid Draper coming off the bench, but Jordan Dawson's in Brownlow form at the moment, I think. Saligo's an A-grade player now, and Isaac Rankin. Matt Crouch is, you know, it's incredible to think he wasn't in the side a couple of years ago, but he's dominating. So a really good effort. They headline my winners list for this weekend.
Well, they broke the MCG hoodoo too.
Yes,
they hadn't won there for
important.
8 years. And it gets to side in Essendon, who, yes, down, and we don't expect great things of Essendon, but over this rebuild period have been a tricky customer for Adelaide. Lost to them 7 of the last 8 occasions.
Totally. That's right. So, you know, they got it done. Now, they are going to come up against North Melbourne, who are on the improve. You can see that. We saw that yesterday. That was a huge win for
Who knew
North.
that this weekend's game between Adelaide and North Melbourne would be one of the matches of the round?
Exactly. But, you know, it was so exciting to see North yesterday do what they did. Fine. I mean, their fans have been through the ringer. So
you could almost call this Pride Round this weekend because you think about it. So West Coast almost knocking off Brisbane at the Gabba. Unbelievable. North Melbourne, St Kilda beating Geelong.
That was a great result.
And Port saying we are not crap, you know, even though it was against Richmond. But there was a whole bunch of teams who probably went out there going, stuff this for a joke. I'm sick of reading in the paper how useless we are.
I thought the win of the weekend, if you were being totally neutral, was the Saints. That was a fabulous result for the game and for their fans to get that over the Cats on Saturday night. Port, yep, they're winners. That was really good, but again, it's tempered by, you know, this Jack Lukosius injury. Right. He's out for maybe 3 months with a fractured kneecap, and then Lockie Jones, Ryan Burton, they're going to miss on Thursday night, and you just know Essendon are going to come out. You know, I mean, they're under the blowtorch right now from the Melbourne media. So it's a big game, but Port are just going to have to find a way. The one big positive, one of the other winners was Moraes. I thought he was really good for...
On debut.
Came on after, you know, Jack Lukosius couldn't get himself up from that knee, and he was good. He had 17 touches and looked really lively. So they might have found one there. You know, he'll get another opportunity this week. So that is good. Other winners, I mentioned St Kilda. You mentioned a big 24 hours for Australian sport, Oscar Piastri.
Fantastic.
First time he's had pole position, and he just... It was a duck to water, wasn't it? He was brilliant.
He blitzed it. And a great bounce back after the disappointment of last weekend as well.
Exactly. So he's up to 4th in the Drivers' Championship. It's only 2 races in, but he keeps right on pace there now with, you know, Verstappen and also Lando Norris, who came 2nd in this race yesterday.
Well, and it's important in the term of the team dynamic element of things that Lando doesn't get too far ahead of him and they start playing funny buggers and make it all about prioritising Lando winning the Drivers' Championship.
Exactly right. So there's only 10 points between them, which is nothing. So that was a great result for Oscar Piastri. I'm sure a lot of the motorsport fans would be happy. The Illawarra Hawks, they won the series against Melbourne United, so 3-2, went down to the wire. And it's obviously the father of Jason Tatum, Justin, who's the coach of the Hawks, who took it out. And you could see what it means to those regional towns when they have sport, you know, like Wollongong or, I mean, to a lesser extent, Tassie when they won it.
The Jack Jumpers.
The Jack Jumpers last year.
Yeah.
They
Central
hadn't won
Coast.
They haven't won it since 2001. And you could see what it means for the fans. And I think it's great when, you know, we'd love to see Adelaide win it, but when it's not Adelaide, would much prefer to see a side like Illawarra win it rather than Melbourne United. So
totally.
I reckon that's a great result for
And there's
for the
nothing
league.
else to do in Wollongong anyway.
Yeah, and then Travis Head, he's just kept on going with his form. He made 67 overnight in the IPL for the Sunrisers Hyderabad, so he's off to a fly. They had a 44-run win, so a great result there for him and for the Sunrisers.
Magnificent work, Rennie.
Good on you, boys.
Covered a lot of ground there.
Yeah, you certainly did. Excellent.
Crows North.
Who would have thunk it?
Yeah.
What a game.
Amazing.
You know what? Crows will belt him again.
Oh, come on, mate.
Another 10 goals.
Tom's on fire with his predictions so far.
I'm not as confident, but I would say 8 goals. they'll still win. They'll win. They'll win easily. They're
So you're
flying.
going to be wrong at some point.
No, but they're flying. Gold Coast, I'm not as confident long term, 2 weeks, but this week, I think the Crows are looking good.
I'm placing my faith in Renstradamus. Good on you, Tommy.
Thanks, boys.
This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
The Hyundai Keys to Summer event ends soon. Unlock offers now. Visit Hyundai.com.au.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
"24 minutes to 7. Police, weather, and we're off to the US this half hour. We'll get you across the latest with regard to the ongoing peace negotiations between the United States, Ukraine, and Russia. Then, in an hour's time, the host of the election, it's not even an election debate, is it? A 1 year out state election debate that took place. Stacy Lee is going to join us. Vincent Tarzia, Peter Malinauskas. If you listen to it on here, because we live streamed it here on 5AA at the same time as well, we'd love to hear your review.
Yeah, what'd you think?
8223 You can text us on the Police Home Care text line as well. Also,
I bring no insights to the discussion of this because apart from the news coverage, which I read and viewed, I saw you on 7 News on Friday night, Will, but I did not see a second of it live or hear a second of it live because I had to go to a lunch that I'd committed to months ago to raise money doing God's work for the Sturt Football Club.
Yeah, my reaction to it's been informed by the extraordinary poll results afterwards. 85-15 on 7 News. I think the Advertiser had one that was running at about 90-10 in favour of the Premier.
Yeah. Even if you dismiss the fact that there were probably a few sort of young Labor types enthusiastically jumping online.
Both sides do it.
Well, they do. Yeah, they do. Both sides do.
I remember being in politics at one point,
as well.
And there was an Advertiser poll up on something. And the word went around like, this is looking bad. Everyone needs to get on board. And I don't care if you need to buy a subscription, just do it right now.
Oh, really?
I remember.
Can you get your grandma to vote? But even if there was a bit of jiggery-pokery going on with party acolytes, you discount 10% for that.
That's right.
That leaves Peter Malinauskas on 75%. Excellent.
Well, there are two storylines potentially that come out of that. If you can't even get your acolytes to vote in the poll, that's probably not a good sign about how things are running internally. So, the other example, the other reality is that was just how people saw it. Now, from people I spoke to who were there, people didn't suggest to me that it was an 85-15 walloping.
Yeah.
It was much more. You know what? It was a much more typical debate than that. It was, and this is the thing I hate about debates, is that they devolve into a sort of recitation of everyone's pre-rehearsed line on every subject. Debates are painted as this sort of free exchange of ideas and a contest. These two people standing there arguing the toss, and it's never that, or at least it hasn't been that for many, many years.
You know, the only thing I want to know, who was the journo who asked Malinauskas if he asked us to ask him the question about the Sheffield Shield final and whether the government was paying for it or not? Did you hear that question?
Yeah, I did. I saw it written up online on the Tizer.
See, that's the classic old journalists who don't get the story tactic, where instead of actually getting a story, they try to ask how other people got the story. I thought it's pretty obvious after 10 years in this job that we're more than capable of thinking of our own questions as well. And they're not always good.
We're wondering
but we come up
whether
with
a deal involving the state government sport involved the exchange of taxpayers' money isn't the most original line of inquiry.
I mean, it's, you sort of think that after, like, what is it? Well, we don't know. We're not allowed to know. But the guesswork, the back of a beer coaster maths, is that we've spent at least $80 million on live and gather round. So, you know, it does seem like a reasonably obvious question to ask, does it not?
Yeah, I would have thought so. Should we do some text because they're flying in on the Police Home Care text line?
One here, Jay from Rosalind Park. Guys, I was at the leaders' debate. It was like Obama was Malley and Tarzi was a school debater. Thank you for that. One here, morning from John. If women are supporting the Greens, they better start practicing the Mandarin. The Greens are like watermelons, green on the outside, but the core is red. Now, Rob from Clearview. Rob, I got the giggles before, Rob, reading this during the sports segment with Tom Wren. Rob writes, I see Jeff Bezos is getting remarried. At the bottom of the invite it says, women who like Jeff also like the following. Even I get that, not being that tech-minded. That's what it says at the bottom of Amazon if you order, like, you know, set of Tramontina Brazilian steak knives. Maybe you might want to buy a breadboard too.
Have any of our listeners ever done the trek from Adelaide to Darwin? Have you ever driven it? And if you have, what car were you in? And if you haven't, what car would you do it in? Let us know. 8223 0000 or Police Home Care text line. Lucy has remarked with some mirth about the Holden Captiva being trying to undertake the journey with these poor people that are stranded. Now, we know they're okay. They're going to be rescued today. Been in contact. Food's been given to them. But she's been saying, country loose, as we like to call her from time to time on these sorts of matters, that vehicle has no place trying to do that trek. What would you be in? Or what have you done it in, folks? Anyone who's done the Adelaide to Darwin drive, we'd love to hear from you.
See, logic says you'd take like a Land Cruiser or something.
Yes.
It'd be pretty good to do it like a Mustang, wouldn't it?
Oh, that would be... I don't know how the Mustang would go through the flooded areas that you have to negotiate.
Yeah. You know what?
Maybe you just go really fast.
You know the motoring accessory that really troubles me?
Mm-hmm.
The snorkel. When you see those big four-wheel drives that have got that snorkel thing on the side?
Yeah.
That's for if you're underwater.
Yeah, when you're driving through.
Well, I just think you shouldn't be underwater in a car. It's not a bloody kayak. We shouldn't be underwater in a kayak either.
One of my wife's, there's sort of infamous stories of their household that my father-in-law's love four-wheel drive, big four-wheel drive guy, and famously they got to this creek as they were driving in the Outback, and he's got two daughters and his wife, and they're saying, "Oh, we're gonna have to find another way." And he said, "Well, this is why you've got a four-wheel drive," and drove straight into this creek, and the water came in through the window height, they said, and let's just say that four-wheel drive needed to be a submarine to have navigated that little bit of river, so they had to wait to get towed out by someone.
I'm sure we've got hundreds and hundreds of listeners who love four-wheel driving. Can someone explain to me what makes it so entertaining? Like, I don't get it. I find the idea... It's bad enough the idea of breaking down on the side of Anzac Highway needing to change your tyre, let alone do it in the middle of the Strzelecki track. Like, seriously?
Peter and Elizabeth Parks called in. What did you, Peter?
Good morning there. I've done Adelaide Darwin 3 times, and it's a Honda Accord, 1983 model.
Oh, really, Pete?
All 3 times in the Accord, Peter?
Yeah, and believe it or not, the first time I'd given up smoking about a week beforehand and drove, and I was the only driver for 3 people in the car.
You're joking.
That's amazing.
How long have you had the car, Pete?
I had it for about 5 years and traded it in, but it was an 83 model and went like a dream.
Yeah, they're pretty good cars.
The Accord getting a vote from Peter and Elizabeth Park. Thank you, Peter. Andrew on the Police Home Care text line says, did it in an FC hold in the late 60s. Then someone else here, it's just disappeared from me, but there's a few others with the car and the make that they did the Adelaide to Darwin in.
Jared said, we did Darwin to Adelaide in 2 days in 2002 in a yellow 91 Toyota Camry, and I wouldn't recommend it. Andrew says Dad did it in an FC Holden in the late 60s. He thought it through, though, hang on, sorry, I can't see that. No, I can't see the rest of that text. Another one here with an old Holden. Jay from Brompton says, finished my apprenticeship here in Adelaide, and at 20 years old, I drove my Holden HJ panel van from Adelaide to Darwin, dropped in at Ayers Rock and climbed it as well, and swam in the Catherine River to cool down along the way. It was a good trip. Certainly does sound like a good trip.
Did you hear this story out of the weekend? I wonder what people might make of this as well. This poor cyclist, a 62-year-old bloke from Goodwood, was riding his bike, and at about 1 a.m. on Saturday morning, police and ambulance cruisers were called to Morford Street, according to SAPOL, because a Lamborghini station wagon crashed into him. A Lamborghini station wagon driven by a 22-year-old Springfield man who then underwent a breath test and blew .193. .193.
Hang on, a Lamborghini station wagon?
Yeah, I looked it up. Apparently they're a thing. You can buy...
What?
Yeah. Yeah. He was issued with a 12-month immediate loss of licence.
Yeah. I'm sure there's some good people who drive Lamborghinis. But you get the sense that with some of them, the car should automatically come with its own tosser number plate. Well, there's a famous one that had a different number plate.
They had a different number plate.
There's a bit of a how good am I going quality to them. And that's not to generalise about all Lamborghini owners.
No, but you're right. They do seem overrepresented for the proportion of the population they make up.
People who drive Toyota Camrys don't tend to do that.
Yeah, there might be something in that. Let's take a break. It's coming up to 14 minutes to 7. We'll check traffic, but when we return, it's police weather, and then we are off to the US. Traffic, thanks to the excellent Corporate Clean Property Services. They're referred for a reason. After all, they don't cut corners, they clean them.
Thanks, Will, and morning, David. A couple of collisions to look out for this morning. One at Elizabeth South, 2 cars involved in this one. Debris on the road on Oldham Road near the Phillip Highway. Aldinga Beach, a crash. Aldinga Beach Road near Rowley Road. A little slow at the moment for works at Glenelg East. Brighton Road near Dunbar Terrace. And starting to build as per normal at South Road at the Anzac Highway intersection just to Carrata Park there. Cameras, East Terrace, Henley Beach and Jetty Road, Larks Bay. Avita Motorhomes and Caravans is celebrating 60 years of manufacturing in Australia with great 60-month offers on all new Avitas. Limited time only, avitarv.com.au. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
At Simplicity Funerals, we have been keeping funerals simple and easy for over 40 years. Visit simplicityfunerals.com.au or call us 24/7 to get started today. Simplicity Funerals. Easy, respectful, simple.
Hello, Frank Walker from National Tiles. For professional tilers, the all-new Tileworks by National Tiles is a game changer. Yes, National Tiles Tileworks members can make up to $50,000 per year more than non-members. It's a game changer. National Tiles Tileworks tilers get free premium adhesives and grouts delivered free, plus monthly cash rebates. So professional tilers rush to join Tileworks online at National Tiles now. Tileworks, it's a game changer. Conditions apply.
On June 19, SA businesses and community leaders will gather at the Adelaide Zoo for the Vinnie's CEO Sleep Out.
Hundreds of South Australian business leaders sleep outdoors on one of the longest, coldest nights of the year to raise funds and awareness for people who sleep rough every night.
Over 1,500 leaders from around the country participate in the event, raising funds that provide crucial support and services to Australians in need.
And our boss, one of our bosses, 5AA's very own market lead, Sarah Wren, is going to be there.
Sarah,
Rennie?
Good stuff.
Yeah, good luck, says.
The brains behind the Wren operation.
That's right.
To get involved in the Sleep Out or to donate, head to ceosleepout.org.au.
Parties, weddings, big events. What do they all have in common? Pals. You know your pals want to have a good time, but what will everyone want to drink? That's when you need to speak to Powerfield Airport Liquor Store. Pals will make sure you've got the right type of drinks, the right amount, and best of all, we'll make sure you've got the best labels that will keep everyone talking about your event. Powerfield Airport Liquor Store. Pals. Next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Powerfield.
The Hyundai Keys to Summer event ends soon. Unlock offers now. Visit Hyundai.com.au.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
Right on 11 minutes to 7, let's check in with the Weather Bureau about what lies ahead this week. Simon Timke is on duty this morning. Good morning to you, Simon.
Morning, Will. Morning, David.
So it looks like another warm, dry week.
Yeah, it certainly is. We've got a very persistent high pressure ridge over waters to the south, and that's going to hang in there for the week ahead and lead to not too much change in the weather over the Adelaide area. Certainly plenty of sunshine. Looking at the satellite picture at the moment, clear skies over the Adelaide area. We have had a little bit of low cloud about the hills, but that looks to have largely cleared away over the last sort of half hour to an hour or so. The winds today, southeasterly, maybe a little bit gusty about the hills and the foothills to start off with, and some sea breezes developing during the afternoon. For our temperatures, we had an overnight minimum 14.8 degrees at about 20 to 7 this morning, so not long ago. Currently sitting only slightly above that, 15 degrees in the city at the moment, and expecting a maximum temperature of 29 for Adelaide. Around the suburbs, 29 as well for Glenelg, 30 degrees for Elizabeth, 26 for Mount Barker and 27 degrees for Noarlunga today. And the sunshine continuing right through the rest of the week and temperatures not changing too much. Each morning, minimum temperatures sort of in that 15 to 17 degree range and maximum temperatures 31 degrees for Tuesday and Wednesday, 32 for Thursday, Friday and Saturday as well, 29 for Sunday and plenty of sunshine right through the week ahead, guys.
Simon, we know how hard people are doing it on the land. There's been a little bit of rain in the north of the state over the last few days, has there not?
Yeah, we have actually had quite a few millimetres over some parts of the north. We had a trough move across the far north slowly over the weekend and it dragged some tropical moisture down. FIVEAA, right up in the far northwest there, had its wettest March day on record on Saturday with 60.8 millimetres recorded. And over the weekend, it had 76.8 millimetres altogether.
Wow.
A couple of stations up in the north there as well. Tyon had 65.6, Todd Morden 51.6. Cooper Pedy had 33, Oodnadatta had 33 millimetres as well. So quite a bit of rain over some of those parts, and I imagine that's probably played havoc with some of the dirt roads and tracks up that way as well.
60 mil certainly would. Great stuff. Thanks for having all that detail right there ready to roll too, Simon. It was a question without notice. Good on you, mate.
Easy gun, Simon. Thank you for that, Simon. Let's head to another gun. Senior Constable Matt Brown from Sapole. Matt, there's been a break-in at Grange this morning.
That's right. Well, about 4:25am today, police were called to a unit in Sylvan Way after a woman reported that her property had been broken into and her mother's handbag had been stolen. Now, no one was confronted during the break-in, but the suspects also rummaged through cupboards inside the unit before fleeing the scene. So we're appealing for any witnesses or anyone who may have seen suspicious activity in the area to call Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
Matt, also, a woman has lost her licence after a crash at Hallett Cove. What happened there?
That's right, David. Just before 4am today, police and emergency services were called to Hallett Cove after reports a Hyundai sedan had crashed on Lonsdale Road. Now, the driver, a 35-year-old Moffat Vale woman, has been arrested and will face numerous traffic charges, including driving under the influence, driving while disqualified, driving without due care, and failed to comply with a breath analysis test. Now, she didn't receive any serious injuries in the crash, but she's been taken to hospital where a sample of her blood will be taken, and she was also issued a 3-month immediate loss of licence notice, and she will be bailed to appear in court at a later date. So a good thing she's off the road for a while.
Sounds like it.
And Matt, just lastly, we've been spending a bit of time this morning talking about the rescue of these people that are stranded in the Outback on their way from Adelaide to Darwin. What's the status with regard to when their rescue is going to happen and how that's going to play out today?
That's right. Well, of course, we're sending out a lot more resources to the area, which is essentially just this side of the Northern Territory border, just north of Oodnadatta. So a significant search was underway for the 4 people that were stranded in a black Holden Captiva that we put a photo out. But we are in contact with them. We've managed to drop food and supplies with them and a satellite phone as well. So there doesn't appear to be any immediate welfare concerns. So we'll organise the rescue of the group during this morning.
Yeah, amazing stuff. Big country. Good on you, Matt. Senior Constable Matt Brown there from Sapole.
It's right on, it's coming up to 6 minutes to 7, and we're going to head to the United States to check in with Miley Hogan, who's heading up the 7 News US Bureau. Miley, good morning to you. The peace talks with regard to the situation in Ukraine have continued overnight.
Yeah, good morning. Look, these are not as high level as we did see last week, but right now what we have is US officials meeting with Ukrainian officials in Saudi Arabia trying to iron out the details of a possible limited ceasefire. In the last week, Russia and Ukraine both agreed to halt strikes on energy infrastructure temporarily, but exactly how and when that would be implemented are questions that have yet to be decided. So that is on the agenda today, those US officials meeting with Ukrainian officials, and then tomorrow the US is expected to meet with Russian officials to come to some kind of conclusion there. But Volodymyr Zelensky, the leader of Ukraine, has accused Russia of stalling and trying to prolong this war. And overnight, more attacks. There have been drone attacks in Kyiv that set a number of fires, and so far at least 3 people have been killed, including a 5-year-old child.
Shocking. Can I ask you a question too, Miley? Will and I were just talking before about how normally a Canadian election would be occurred, and you'd think that is the least interesting news item imaginable for an Australian audience. But the political situation in Canada is quite volatile and quite interesting now in the context of Donald Trump going to war with friendly allies like Canada and indeed Australia, is it not?
The situation in Canada is definitely one of interest. I'm sure you've seen a lot of reporting about anger from Canadians about these tariffs that have been put on. And so there's a lot of news at the moment surrounding the new Prime Minister in Canada, and he does have a really big job on his hands. He's now going to have to take on Donald Trump. In fact, today there was actually protests up in the border with both Canadians on one side and Americans on the other side protesting against Donald Trump and these tariffs. A lot of people in Canada are really hurt by what's happening here in the United States. They feel like their allies, their neighbours are taking advantage of them, especially when it comes to that talk about making Canada the 51st state.
Can imagine that would be more than mildly irritating. It's interesting you're passing those two stories together, and that's a great report, Miley. Thank you. That Miley Hogan for 7 News in the US. A lot of tough talk on Canada and Greenland and Mexico.
Yeah.
Has there been a single mention you've heard yet of Vladimir Putin having to make any form of concession with regard to the peace talks in Ukraine?
No, not one.
Like one tiny little, okay, well, we didn't want to do that, but I guess we're willing to put it. Has there been one?
Does he get to keep the whole, what's it called, the Donbass?
Yep.
Does he get to keep all of that?
Yep. Crimea.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? But the Gulf of Mexico, that's been renamed.
Non-negotiable.
Yeah. Have you noticed that if you go to Google Maps, it now says Gulf of Mexico, but then in brackets afterwards it says Gulf of America?
Oh, is that how they phrase it?
Yeah. That's what it says on Google Maps. When are we going to rename American River? I mean, make Australia great again. Why is it that the fact that through some quirk of history, a handful of American sealers turned up just there, not far from Penashore? I think it was in the late 19th century, and the first white people. Well, actually, no, there weren't never any Indigenous people on Kangaroo Island, though, were there? I don't think there were. I don't think there's any evidence of them being there. But the fact that a few Yanks caught a few seals in the 19th century at American River, we should call it Australian River.
Australian River?
Yeah.
Pengelly River.
Now you're talking.
See?
Pengelly River.
It's got a nice ring to it, doesn't it?
Wonder if the mayor's listening.
I think
he's a man of obvious taste. He probably is. Pengelly River.
There you go, Michael Pengelly. That's I don't do anything for you.
Exactly.
5AA News is coming up. We'll have a wrap of the morning stories next. Stick around, though, if you were intrigued by what came of the debate on Friday during Stacey's program, a debate she was hosting. You're going to hear all of her thoughts after 7:30 this morning.
Velocity members save up to 40% off selected products at Snooze. Plus, for a limited time only, earn double Velocity points. Hurry, the Velocity member event ends Sunday. Exclusions, T's and C's apply.
Discover Canada and Alaska with APT and Phil Hoffman Travel in 2026. Unearth richer experiences and hidden treasures amongst the towering Rocky Mountains to the icy waters of Alaska's Glacier Bay and bustling historic cities with savings of up to $2,600 per couple. Join Phil Hoffman Travel and APT at exclusive Canada and Alaska 2026 season launch events across Adelaide from the 31st of March to the 10th of April. Visit pht.com.au.
If you already have solar, you'll be well aware that feed-in tariffs have dropped considerably, but this doesn't mean your savings have to drop. Well, not if you call NRG Solar.
I'll tell you what, NRG, they're great people to deal with. And look, if you can stump up the cash, and they do finance and it pays for itself in no time, with an NRG battery, you can store the solar power during the day and you can use it when you need it most, which is at night. Otherwise, you're getting a few measly cents feeding your solar power to the grid when you could be using that power for free in the evenings.
In short, more energy independence means lower bills and smarter savings, no matter what the price of energy is. Take control of your energy. Visit NRG Solar. You'll find them incredibly helpful and knowledgeable. Call in to 1275 South Road, St Mary's, or you can simply visit nrgsolar.com.au.
5AA's Tech Talk with your host, Adelaide tech guy Richard Pascoe. Thanks to Harvey Norman Computers.
Harvey Norman is bringing the heat with massive savings on HP and Asus laptops. For a limited time, you can save up to 20%. Yes, 20%. Need a lightweight, reliable laptop for work or study? The HP 14S with 8GB of RAM is now just $598, saving you $130. For power users, the Asus VivoBook 15 with a huge 1 terabyte of storage is now $888. That's over $300 off. Or step up to serious performance with the HP Intel Core Ultra 5 laptop boasting 16 gig of RAM, a steal at $1,098, saving you $600. Harvey Norman delivers the best brands, the best range, and the best prices guaranteed. Don't miss out on these tech bargains. Shop now. Terms and conditions apply.
Check out this great offer at a Harvey Norman store near you.
The very latest news and information. This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide. setting the agenda for South Australia. This is 5AA, always Adelaide.
The Hyundai Keys to Summer event ends soon. Unlock offers now. Visit Hyundai.com.au.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
Seven minutes after 7. Good morning to you if you're joining us for the very first time on this Monday morning, the 24th of March. It's one of those weeks where you don't need to look at the weather forecast too much. You just need to know this. It's going to be dry.
Another one.
It's going to be... Well, there's no even extremes of heat this week. It's all sort of ranging between 29 and 32. So if you just know... If you dress for one day, you've dressed for every day this week. It's a nice, simple one. Good next hour coming up on the program. Stacey Lee's going to join us after 7:30. We'll talk state politics with Stacey. She'll put someone in the hot seat. She had both the leaders in the hot seat on Friday in a debate she was hosting. So we'll get Stacey's thoughts on that. Yours as well have trickled throughout the morning, folks, and we've really been interested in reading those. Happy to have them to continue coming through on the Police Home Care text line.
Quite a few people are making the excellent point that the Stewart Highway is made entirely out of bitumen and that there's no reason to get yourself into trouble. It's no different from driving along Anzac Highway.
Yes.
It's a bitumen road all the way to Darwin. So deviating from the path is probably not wise, particularly if you're not driving a roadworthy Prado or Land Cruiser or Range Rover or something like that.
Also coming up this hour, we're going to be chatting with a pet shop in Noarlunga that was robbed. A rare snake was stolen. There's real concerns for its well-being. We'll talk about that with them just before 8 o'clock. And then after 8:30, the unfortunately named Good Karma coffee van was robbed. And the people who run it have just said, look, we're out of business officially because we don't have insurance. This has put us to the wall. We risked everything, and people stole everything. And now it's another small business that's closed in South Australia. People that went out on a limb to probably employ people and do something that everyone enjoys, but they're not going to be able to continue. It's a sad story, and we're going to be speaking to them on the program after 8:30 this morning. Intrigued by a little news item that that Matt Pantelis had just a moment ago. That's I think worth just a little bit of a closer look at. Reforms have passed the state parliament that will mean we're not going to have this term anymore, not guilty due to mental incompetence. It's going to be retired from the legal lexicon here in South Australia.
What are they going to call it instead?
They're going to say conduct proved but not criminally responsible.
Is it a thing about not wanting to stigmatise people with mental illness?
No, this is on the push of victims' advocates who say victims having someone in many cases killed in their lives, where there's no suggestion that didn't happen. It's just about criminal responsibility.
Yeah, okay.
Having a verdict rendered that says not guilty.
Yeah.
So someone was guilty. Yeah. Someone did this. The reason they did it mitigates what kind of sentence they get or how they get treated.
Yeah.
So it's a push from the advocates here. I think this is a pretty good reform, frankly.
Yeah, I do too. Well, it makes it sound like nothing's happened otherwise.
That's right.
When something clearly has happened.
Or I think even goes further than that no one's to blame.
Yeah.
Like, just because someone wasn't capable in the sort of, what is it, mens rea or actus reus in the legal sense? Of sound mind?
Mens actus reus is the criminal act. Mens rea is the mental state.
So just because you're not of the mental state, it doesn't mean that there wasn't a person and they didn't commit a crime.
It means intent.
It means intent.
Yeah.
That's right. So I think this is a good reform. This is one of those things that makes the whole court process a bit more understandable and relatable for people.
You really pushed the outer limits of my law degree there, Will.
I literally said the 4 words that I know about law.
I think you get 1 out of 100 in crim for getting that one right.
That takes me back to year 10, that one did.
That's right.
There was an interesting text here that's worth involving in part of the news wrap this morning from Peter. Not from Peter, from Stavros on the Police Home Care text line. He says, fellas, have you seen the latest advertisement that the Prime Minister's done telling us, the taxpayers, that his government is helping us by extending the power rebate? And then Stavros has put in 9 exclamation marks and says, his ad tells us it's money straight back in your pocket, 4 question marks. Isn't it going from one pocket to the other? It's our bloody money, says Stavros. Well, it's not means tested, so he's absolutely right.
Yeah.
You're taxed money, and then you're given that money back, and it's sort of seen as some sort of charitable gesture by the federal government.
I mean, you can make that point more broadly about everything the government spends money on.
Sure.
Like, it is generally ours. So, but in the case of energy, I mean, the idea that this government is going to talk about leading with your chin, if they reckon they've got a good story to tell about energy, I reckon it's the last thing they should be talking about. I think it's interesting to see how Albo is trying to sort of put Dutts onto some territory that he's not comfortable with, and I think we're going to be doing more about this after 8 o'clock. Who currently works from home and is worried that if a Dutton government is elected, suddenly work is going to lose all of the new flexibility that has continued on beyond the pandemic? I'm sure that there's a lot of people working from home, or more than a couple of people who are having a bit of a lark. Equally, though, I think that some of the benefits of it, e.g., knowing I know a lot of people who now work like maybe 4 days a week, but they work the fifth day from home, and they do the work. But things like being able to leave early to pick your kids up from school, it saved people a lot of money. It saved people money in transport, and it saved people money in childcare. And they are two extremely expensive things. Now, the government has done some modelling on this, and the Prime Minister is pushing it quite hard. And I think what he's trying to do is get everybody thinking about how much money are you going to have in your pocket under a Liberal government. And this harks back to, work choices and all that sort of stuff. And in the past, it's proved to be the Liberals' kryptonite on more than a couple of occasions, because a lot of people... It's the sort of thing you might not want to say publicly, I actually want to be able to keep working from home or working with these new flexible arrangements. You might be reluctant to say it because you don't want to sound like you're a malingerer. But privately, you might think, stuff you done. I'm not going back to the old mandated 9 to 5, boss staring at you to make sure you don't spend too long getting your lunch and what have you. Because a lot of people love the new flexible workplace.
And I think the really vulnerable area is people that took a job knowing the workplace was going to be flexible.
Yeah.
Based on where it is, how to get there, the style of work you're doing and so forth, and to have that taken away, I think they'd be pretty disenfranchised. Here's the Prime Minister on energy in the new ad that's come out that Stavros is talking about.
What we've seen is that in 2024, power prices fell 25.2%. They would have fallen just 1.6% without rebates. So this is energy bill relief, cost of living support that will also have an effect of putting downward pressure on inflation.
Sorry, that's not the ad. That wouldn't have been much zing in that ad. That was part of the most recent press conference he did, talking about the extension of the rebate. So the two $75 allotments, so an extra $150 back in your pocket. I tell you, if you tuned in and have tuned out of the Brisbane Olympic bid when they first put it together in July 21, 2021, it's going to look very different to what you were first pitched. The Courier Mail have done some pretty extraordinary reporting this morning ahead of what's going to be a blueprint that's going to be handed down tomorrow, the final Olympic infrastructure blueprint. Almost half of the venues that were promised when they bid for the Games in 2021 are going to be axed, including the upgraded Gabba that was going to be opening ceremony, track and field. Well, not anymore. They originally had this idea of 3 zones, Brisbane, Gold Coast, Sunshine Coasts. So 6 of the 14 venues that were proposed are going to be changed or axed when that plan comes out Tuesday. The Gabba's now going to become the second choice stadium. They've got a new construction that's happening at Victoria Park, but the cancellation of some of the projects is massive. The $2.5 billion Brisbane Arena, that's on the chopping block.
So hang on, they're still building a new stadium though, aren't
they?
They're
building a new stadium, yes. But
which will be the main stadium.
Which will be the main stadium, not the upgraded Gabba.
So the Gabba's staying the same?
The Gabba's staying the same. And some of the other venues, 6 of the 14 are basically being axed. So it's going to be a seriously pared back version of the Olympic Games that was first promised in 2021.
And all on cost grounds, obviously.
All on cost grounds. They have a $7.1 billion... they keep referring to it as an envelope, essentially. There's a number they want it to all fit inside of neatly that it had blown out massively.
Tell you what, you go back through the list of cities that have hosted the Olympics, and I think, I read an article about it a few years back, more than half of them ended up just way, way, way in the red. It's a hugely expensive proposition, but if you do it from a standing start like some countries have, even more so. Same as hosting the World Cup. Remember 2010 in South Africa? There are all these stadia that popped up overnight. God knows what they're using them for now.
they're going to fast make the Olympic Games as unattractive as the Commonwealth Games. And it's not going to be necessarily for the same reasons, because of a lack of interest, but because of a lack of no cost-benefit analysis is going to suggest it's a good thing to do. That's the way it's fast heading.
Well, part of the thing too is like you end up sort of ceding so much of your decision-making power to the IOC and in the World Cup context, FIFA, where they're the ones who swan in and say, no, we want this, this and this, and you guys have to pay for it all.
Let's do some text before we take a break. Stephen Rowe coming up very shortly. Wasn't on the call Saturday, so really looking forward to his thoughts on what was a massive weekend in footy and sport.
Talking about working from home, Nathan says some people mistake workplace flexibility with the right to work exclusively from home. I'm sorry, but if someone is working exclusively from home, they are not as productive as someone working more frequently at work. That's before you start looking at the mental health benefits of leaving work purely at work, i.e. bleed over into work and home stress. American Golden Grove on the power stuff says, if anyone thinks giving a rebate for power is going to make your power cheaper, you're a peanut. Giving rebates doesn't make the power cheaper. It puts a strain on the budget, and they'll hit us in the pocket to recoup that money from another area. It's a lie. One here, in all caps, simply says, the cost of living crisis is due to this stupid government. There you go. And one here, didn't stats for ages say that staff were more efficient working from home? Suddenly now it's not, says the opposition. And Sue and Henley simply says, what? Albo, power prices have fallen. I didn't know that. Aren't they about to go up again? They are about to go up again. They're about to go up by 9%.
AEMO put out their draft recommendation, so establishing the floor that power companies can work with, or people that are done on a commercial agreement. The basic one you go on, they're all going up. That's absolutely right. Artificially coming down, for period that's just been extended. 18 minutes after 7. Interesting text, keep them coming through on the Police Home Care text line. We're going to check traffic and come back with Stephen Rowe. Talking sport, big weekend. Both the local sides winners. We always enjoy that. Corporate Clean Property Services, they're referred for a reason. After all, they don't cut corners, they clean them.
Thanks. Well, we've got a couple of bingos to look out for this morning, but neither are causing too many dramas, which is good. We find a two-car collision at Elizabeth South, debris on the road, Oldham Road near Phillip Highway. Another crash at Aldinga Beach Road near Rowley Road, and slow for works at Goodwood this morning, Goodwood Road near Railway Terrace. Getting busy, Anzac Highway at Ashford heading into the city, with cameras Jetty Road, Larks Bay and Military Road at Grange. ESPN is coming to Disney+. Live events, epic sporting moments, and 10,000 hours of action, including the upcoming NBA playoffs. ESPN on Disney+. Turn it on. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA Mornings with Graham Goodings.
Just 8 years after opening the new Royal Adelaide Hospital, once the world's most expensive hospital, it's already run out of space, forcing some services to relocate. For many clinicians, this sadly comes as no surprise. Concerns about the project date back to 2009.
Graham Goodings.
Despite all this and the $2.3 billion price tag, how did the government miscalculate so badly at the time?
Weekday mornings from 9 on 5AA. Always Adelaide.
Hi, Sarah Wren here, Market Lead at FIVEAA. 2025 will mark my first year participating in the annual Vinnie's CEO Sleep Out. On June 19, SA business and community leaders will gather at Adelaide Zoo for one night to raise funds and awareness for people who sleep rough every night. If you're a business or community leader, help break the cycle of homelessness by signing up at ceosleepout.org.au.
We know you are concerned about SA's public hospital capacity and how long it can take to see a doctor. So are we. We need enough doctors to provide the safe, quality care you deserve. There are solutions for South Australia, and it's not rocket science. Visit safermedicalstaffing.com.au and sign the petition to support our 3-point plan for enough doctors for South Australia. Authorised by Dr. David Pope, South Australian Salaried Medical Officers Association, Adelaide.
Now, we're on our best behaviour in the new studios at the moment because the buttons, it's still a bit of a flying by your seat of the pants experience. So the language has been good. The swear jar here is not filling up. No. It is filling up at Biourban Bathrooms and Kitchens. Not with swear words, but with pledges and promises from the whole team at Biourban of things they swear to do for you.
Now, here's one sent straight to us from the Biourban swear jar from Chloe, the operations manager, who just happens to be Riley O'Brien's wife. No need to swear at the moment. Being a massive Crows fan, Now, look, nothing gets past Chloe. She's the queen of managing all bathroom renovation projects, and Chloe swears to ensure that all the trades arrive on time, every time, day in, day out.
For a team that swears to deliver on quality and service, see by Open Bathrooms and Kitchens, they're Adelaide's home renovation experts.
For those whose pool is the main feature of their yard, Walco offer a special mesh cover to keep debris and leaves out, while making your pool area look stunning all through winter. Join the great cover-up and ask Walco about their stylish new mesh pool covers. Walco.com.au.
When it comes to real estate, Photobase Group does it all. Marketing, signage, print, photography, videography and design. And now they're adding to their award-winning team. Photobase Group are currently on the hunt for casual real estate sign installers available 3 to 5 days a week from 7 a.m. till 5 p.m. A vehicle is provided along with training and all the tools and equipment needed to ensure you enjoy the work and deliver perfect outcomes for their valued clients. Get in contact today by calling 8229 9000.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
The Hyundai Keys to Summer event ends soon. Unlock offers now. Visit Hyundai.com.au.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
Love this song. The Breakfast Creek Hotel is up for sale.
You know what I love?
What?
Monday mornings, where you've won on the weekend. And you know why?
Stephen Rowe on 5AA Breakfast.
Because we get to chat with Stephen Rowe and relive it all. Interesting his thoughts on the games. Didn't hear him over the weekend, so good to have him on this morning. Rowie, good morning to you.
Oh, Pemma, Will, good morning. After a little stroll in the park for both our clubs, Crows won a game by 10 goal plus. Port turned around a 91-point drubbing and pushed aside Richmond for 72. That's a lazy 163-point turnaround, fellas. Cop that and play fair.
Crazy round of football. So many sides that were written off in round one, making amends in round two. But it was a big and much-needed win for Port. What about poor old Lukosius, though? Crikey.
Oh, God, he can't take a trick. He's one of your boys, isn't he?
Yeah.
He is. Yeah, we'll have him in.
Yeah.
Next week.
Next week, every second week, the players are in, but...
Okay. I'll get to Port. The Crows played first. I said on Friday with Timmy, this MCG clash versus Essendon, the Crows can, and I call it inverted commas, announce themselves. And not announce themselves as a premiership contender, but announce themselves after losing 7 of their last 8 versus the Bombers. They haven't won at the MCG in their last 11. They won and don't win away, but they had a great round one win. And, fellas, they announced themselves. It was about how they played. And Will, you called the game. I heard it. Again, their ball movement and attack, 63 inside 50s. How's this number? 20 marks. 20 marks inside 50. Now, you give Bill Thorpe, Walker, Rochelle, Rankin, Fogg, that amount of looks. They're going to be hard to beat. They scored from turnover and stoppage. I'm loving their D50, F50 run. For those who don't know, when they turn the ball over in the back half, how they move it into the front half and then score from it. Last year, you know what they were for that? 17. Now, it's only 2 games against 2 ordinary teams, but they're number 1 for that. I love how they've set the team up. They've got genuine talent. Look, it's a tricky one versus North this week, but last year we were 0-4. And Will, you and I were calling the games. I was just a Banshee man swinging out of the trees, bloody cracking my knuckles. I was all over the shop. Well, this is a different story because now they have talent.
Well, this was I think we lose track so quickly because of all the excitement of the preseason. This was a bottom 4 team last year. A bottom 4 team. So, people will say, oh, you've beaten rubbish teams. This was a rubbish team, right?
Yeah.
That's
true.
That's significant progress. They've made these sides look second rate, and in a venue, as you say, where they've had no success. It was clinical, and hasn't it set up a game that I think no one in the AFL world this week would have thought was much watched television last year. Crows North this week is suddenly a really interesting fixture.
100%. Sunday at home will be a packed house. Gee, they were good yesterday versus Melbourne, and Melbourne are a good team. Their midfield, they've been building that midfield. That's what Clarkson does. He's built a midfield, and it's a midfield of a top 8 team. Have they got the pieces around it? We don't know. Yes, they'll get better, but that is going to be a sensational game at home. Can't wait. Just on Port, quickly, look, they were dominant, weren't they, versus the Tigers? They had 200 more disposals 100 more handballs. Yeah, they got the ball inside 50 for 19 marks. That's a good number. They didn't do that last time. They lost contested ball and stoppage. Here's the number for me, and this is the change in how they play under Josh Carr. And make no mistake, it is Josh Carr's movements, all of this. He's not the senior coach, but this is how he wants to play moving forward. They had 179 more uncontested possessions. Have you ever heard that number before?
That's just...
Nearly 200 more contested possessions. And this is the new way they want to play. It's rip it and grip it like they do in golf. It's boom or bust. They get it right like GWS, and they get it right like how Collingwood and Hawthorn and that. That's the new way of playing. They get this right, it's going to be a sensational year for them. If they get it wrong, there's a bit of look out about it, because they can get it wrong because they haven't done it and trained it and probably got the talent at both ends to defend it. But yeah, they are incredible numbers.
And good news for Port. Under the lights on Thursday night, they got the Bombers.
Oh, wow. Oh, well, dial that one in. Play Can You Feel It? 10-goal win. Shelling peas. We've softened them up. For them. Gee, they were ordinary yesterday, weren't they?
Miserable.
Great game by Merritt, though. That was an incredible captain's game.
Wasn't it? What did he get? 4 goals, 30-odd possessions. That was an incredible...
The third quarter of that game, Rowie, you had like 3 potential goal of the year contenders. The Rankin goal, the Rochelle goal just before... Well, no, it's not goal of the year. Rankin, though. But what about the Indigenous bloke playing for Essendon?
Isaac Kako.
Kako. That goal he kicked. Crawling around, fending blokes off in the square. Just brilliant football.
Oh, it was unreal. So it's bloody round 3 already. Our two sides going okay. Can't wait for this. Hey, big show, cover all that live from 4.
Good on you, mate.
Good on you, Rowie. Looking forward to it. Lots to talk about, and lots to talk about success in other walks of sport too. As we mentioned with Tommy Wren an hour ago, Oscar Piastri wins the Chinese Grand Prix yesterday from Go to Woe.
Poor old Jack Lukosius. So he could be out for months. What do we do about that? What do we ask him?
Well, he becomes a commentator, doesn't he?
It's going to be like
what's happening inside the club. And...
when Port Orazio was out all the time. Yeah, he's just sort of like an observer of the game. I suppose it's going to give him something to do during his rehab.
That's true. Yeah,
it's just shocking. Like, the very start of his second game with his new club, and that happened.
Yeah, it's just shocking luck. 29 after 7, 5AA News on the way. Stacy Lee coming up next.
Hey Rick, it's Chris from Automasters. Just thought I'd give you a quick rundown on some of the things on the car.
Now you can see what we see.
Just want to show you 2 little things on the CX-5.
AutoCam.
So this is the air filter out of your car.
Real-time video sent direct to you from your Automasters technician.
It's not actually the wheel bearing. What it is, the handbrake's integrated into the calipers.
See any issue firsthand. How good. Real-time reporting with instant SMS approval. Call 1300 Automasters. Great service guaranteed.
Have you checked on your elderly loved ones today? What if they've had a fall and no one knows? What if their personal alert system wasn't charged or they forgot to wear it? These are the moments we don't think about until it's too late. With the Care Alert welfare call system, you'll never have to wonder. Your loved one will receive an automated call once or twice a day to confirm they're okay. If they don't answer, you'll be instantly notified so you can check in and make sure they're safe. It's the perfect backup for those moments when their alert system isn't within reach, offering peace of mind for you and extra security for them. Designed to work alongside the Care Alert Smart Dialer, our welfare call service ensures no call for help goes unheard. It's an extra layer of protection for your loved ones, giving you confidence that they're safe, even when you're not there. Care Alert, Australia's most trusted personal alert system, now with an extra safeguard. Call 1300 75 85 95 or visit carealert.com.au to get started today.
This is 5AA News, always Adelaide.
5AA's Tech Talk with your host, Adelaide tech guy Richard Pascoe. Thanks to Harvey Norman Computers.
Harvey Norman is bringing the heat with massive savings on HP and Asus laptops. For a limited time, you can save up to 20%. Yes, 20%. Need a lightweight, reliable laptop for work or study? The HP 14S with 8GB of RAM is now just $598, saving you $130. For power users, the Asus VivoBook 15 with a huge 1TB of storage is now $888. That's over $300 off. Or step up to serious performance with the HP Intel Core Ultra 5 laptop boasting 16GB of RAM, a steal at $1,098, saving you $600. Harvey Norman delivers the best brands, the best range, and the best prices guaranteed. Don't miss out on these tech bargains. Shop now. Terms and conditions apply.
Check out this great offer at a Harvey Norman store near you.
Hi, Brett Ibbott here for Mawson Lakes Mazda. We've been doing deals on a huge range of 2024 plate Mazdas, and we've just received truckloads more of them, all priced to clear. These drive-away deals on new Mazdas include free 12 months rego, free stamp duty, and accessory packs worth $500. Yep, absolutely free. All exclusive to Mawson Lakes Mazda. No gimmicks, just great deals. Mawson Lakes Mazda, Salisbury Highway, T's and C's apply.
Get out of the way, mate! Oh my God! What is this guy doing right at my arm?
Keep your cool in traffic with ice cold aircon from Automasters. Fix now, pay later options available. Call 1300 Automasters.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube. The Hyundai Keys to Summer event ends soon. Unlock offers now. Visit Hyundai.com.au.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
21 minutes to 8, Stacy Lee in the 5AA Breakfast studio. The very busy Stacy, of course, hosting the afternoon show with aplomb. She was cooking in the kitchen with Chris Jarma on Friday around hosting a debate between Vincent Tarzia and Peter Malinauskas. We'll get to Stacy in a moment. You can watch along on the Facebook and YouTube live stream. A few texts on the Police Home Care text line.
Yeah, and just quickly, thanks to the people who've texted in correcting what I said before. I had no idea, and this is a terrific story. I was wrong when I said that Isaac Kako, the new Essendon recruit, playing in his second game against Adelaide on Saturday. He's not Indigenous. His family are from Iraq. And apparently he's the first Aussie of Iraqi descent ever to play AFL.
Recent too. His family moved here in 1999.
His dad served in the Iraqi military. What about that? There's some stories to tell.
He's an unbelievable talent.
Yeah, he's great. But no, how good's that? An Iraqi player.
On 5AA Breakfast, this is Stacy Lee.
She's caught her breath running between floors here at 5AA. It's all over the shop at the moment. Morning to you, Stace.
Good morning. Yeah, you can't forget anything upstairs.
No, it becomes really inconvenient.
Yeah.
No. Now, Stace, I was just saying to you off air, I always love having you on the show, but particularly thrilled that you're in today because I was at a prior commitment on Friday. I saw none of the debate in real time. You were there front and centre as the host. What did you make of it?
It was better than I expected it to be. After the debate, I came back on air and asked people who won. And I think a lot of the sentiment of 5AA listeners who were listening in for the hour, I agree with, that Vincent Tarzia performed better than I expected. Now, I don't know if that's because we all had pretty low expectations of him going into the debate or because Peter Malinauskas is tough to go up against. You know, he is an excellent speaker. And especially in a room like that where, you know, he knows his audience. He's very good at knowing his audience. I do think that if we were talking about who won the debate, I do think the Premier won the debate. And the main reason I say that is because of policy. He actually had positions on, policies to announce, or not to announce, not on the day, but he has positions on policies that he could explain, reiterate, re-explain to people, as opposed to Vincent Tarzia. I did ask Vincent Tarzia at one point, you've been in this job for 7 months now, what have you actually achieved as leader? What policies do you have to go to the next election? And he brought up payroll tax, and I had to interrupt him and say, that was announced under the former leader, wasn't it? And he said, well, yes, it was. And so he didn't really have anything concrete to hold on to, which you can understand being in opposition to a certain extent. We're still a year out. There's still 12 months to go to announce policy. But I have to say, after 7 months of doing the job, it might be a little bit disappointing.
Here's a bit of one of the exchanges between the Premier and the opposition leader.
Because this is a government that's got its act together. And of course that stands in stark contrast to our political opponents.
I'm surprised he didn't get the Sheffield Shield at Adelaide Oval because he's pretty good at shifting the goalposts.
So that was some of the tone of the debate there, Stacey. Did any behind the scenes stuff surprise you in terms of how they prepared, what the demeanour was like beforehand? Any sort of that inside baseball stuff you got?
Yeah. The Premier got there very early and had lots of questions about how it would play out. They had 3 minutes for opening remarks. Will we be ringing a bell? Will we be dinging them at sort of 2 minutes or 3 minutes? How will it operate? We had lots of questions from both sides in the lead up to the debate about how it will operate, and that's understandable. We had a format. Something we did differently this year was allowing them to ask each other questions.
That's always a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, I think that Vince Adazi's best moment, wasn't it, when he asked about Peter Dutton and the nuclear policy. That was the Premier, for reasons we've discussed on the program before, seems to, for fairly political reasons, out of the federal election, not want to engage too much in that kind of thing. When we think deep down, he might think some of it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, totally.
And he
was been told off publicly by Anthony Albanese for thinking aloud about nuclear power in the past.
He was put under pressure about ramping as well, and it's the strongest I've heard him be on the aged care beds that are filling up the hospitals. He still wouldn't say we need Anthony Albanese to do more and Mark Butler to do more. I don't think it would play too badly if he did, but I understand why.
That's him in excuse mode as Premier, isn't it? I mean, the 200,000 signs they put on all the stadium poles 3 years ago didn't say Labor will fix the ramping crisis provided the federal government also creates more aged care beds. They just said they'll fix it.
It's a big placard, that one.
But that's the one part of Malinauskas's premiership. I reckon generally when he comes in here, you ask him any question you want and he's always good on his feet. You can really hear the clutch slipping when you ask him about ramping.
And as well on Friday when you ask him about water bills. He did not like that I suggested his 3.5% increase on every single SA water bill payer's bill. He did not like that I dare suggest that was a tax or a levy. I think we've got a little bit of that exchange. You increased SA water bills 3.5% above inflation. You might not like to call that a tax or levy, but others do. Will you have a position on new taxes in the lead up to this election?
Let's be clear about this, Stacey. We haven't increased taxes and we haven't introduced new ones.
So what would you call the Premier? 3.5% above inflation on every SA water taxpayer's bill?
We did make a tough decision on water bills. That is absolutely true. And I stood up in a room with a lot more people in it than this one and I announced it.
It's a 3.5% levy.
And let's talk about, it's an increase to people's water bills. Now, why do we make that decision?
An increase of a certain percentage across the board is a tax. That's the definition of it.
Okay, well, you can characterise it how you like. What I'm saying is that we increased the water bill. We announced it publicly, and let me explain why we did that. One of the biggest debate we've probably had within Cabinet was about how we were going to fund what is now more urgent than ever before, and that is investing in trunk water infrastructure in this state.
It's one of my favourite things about public utilities and the debate over them is always, why do we sell that? See, the prices have gone up. Outrageous what the former government did when it's a public utility that does it. Well, there's investment that needs to happen.
Exactly.
It was unavoidable.
We're doing this on behalf of the people, making the people pay more.
Yeah, and that might be true. He did say, we needed to do this to connect water to new infrastructure. Sure, but it's still a tax. Everyone is still paying 3.5% more, and it's not going to reduce. That will be forever more. 3.5% above inflation.
There's a really funny piece by the late, great P.J. O'Rourke, this American conservative satirist. He went to visit Nicaragua after the Sandinista Revolution, and he had this very droll driver driving him around the capital, Managua, and there was this giant, crappy building that had all these smashed windows in it, and the driver pointed at it and he said, "See that, PJ? That belongs to the people now.
having been there, Stace, and overseen the debate and run it, and it was terrific and provided a lot of great insights and a platform where Vincent Tarsi did better, I think that everyone's saying than expected. What do you make of the post-debate polls?
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Because, so the one on 7 had it 85-15 in favour of the Premier. I think the Tizer had it 90-10. Last time I saw it anyway, it was something like that. Do you place much stock in that? Do you read anything into that?
I was really surprised by the percentages when I saw them on Friday night, so I went and had a little look. The questions that that Channel 7 and the Tizer were asking were different to who won the debate. 7 was asking who's the preferred Premier, and I think Tizer was asking who should lead the state next year.
Okay.
And I think if you ask South Australians, that's probably accurate at the moment. Vincent Tarsi hasn't been in the job too long. They haven't announced a whole lot of policies that people have been able to get their head around.
That's a good point.
So a lot more people would say, well, Peter Malinowskis is someone we know. We're doing okay. Maybe not on ramping and a couple of other things, but he should probably lead the state. If you did ask the question, who won the debate, I think it would have been a lot tighter. I still think the Premier won the debate, but not by that margin. There was one other question that I had for the Premier that I don't think he was very confident to answer. And I said, do you think South Australians are better off now than 3 years ago when you took office? And he got into a long-winded question about jobs for the future and copper production. And I said, do you think when you go to Coles and Woolies and you're struggling to pay for the shopping in your basket that you're worried about copper production? And I thought that was just a little bit of a strange answer to give to that question. But look, he was very prepared. He had his lines.
It's a good question because there's nothing you can go to look at the ABS that's going to tell you that Australians anywhere are better off now than they were 3 years ago. I mean, inflation has driven up the price of everything, and I think the debate goes to whether governments have been a driver of that or they've actually been helping people out. But I think he knew as well as anyone. The answer to that is absolutely not.
No. And some of it might be out of his control. Power prices, water bills are in his control.
Yes.
Other taxes and levies, bracket creep is out of his control. And I think it probably would have been a more human answer to say a lot of that.
You can concede sometimes.
But to go on about copper production and steel in Whyalla, I just thought was really interesting when you used to pay $50 for a basket of groceries and now you're paying $85. I just thought that was a bit strange.
Thinking about, there's two ways of looking at the debate. You can look at the debate as a sort of 1 hour exercise of question and answer and probing and pushing and hang on, you didn't address the question. But then the takeout that a lot of people who aren't, political reporters, who are just casual punters watching it, there's a sort of who looks the most like the leader element that feeds into the results that went so well for Malinowskis. And it's funny because, people sort of complain about, these career politicians straight from cradle to grave. You're the head prefect one day, then you're the union boss, then you're tapping Mike round on the back and telling him to pack his bags. Next thing you know, you're running the state. So there's that. But then when you actually see them performing, I think a lot of people go, oh, that guy sounds like a leader.
Because we're conditioned to think what successful politicians sound and look like.
Yeah.
And that's one thing as a newer leader, that he's got a very limited amount of time to turn that around between now and March next year, Vincent Tarsi, and he's, I would say, only making it harder for himself by not actually giving us any memorable, clear policies yet.
Yeah.
So he's got his work cut out on that front.
And I think he knew that.
And that's on him.
It is. And he knew that going into the debate. So he came out. So we did a coin toss. One of them was able to start their opening remarks and then the other person would finish. We didn't want someone bookending the debate, having the first word and then the last word. All of these things are very carefully worked out in the lead up to a debate like this. So we did a coin toss. Vincent Tarsi started, which meant the Premier would end. And Vincent Tarsi started and his opening remarks were extremely strong and it felt personal. He kept pointing at the Premier and saying, this guy. I wrote down on my notes, my 55 pages of notes with questions and stuff, this guy. He kept saying, this guy, and pointing at the Premier like that. And I thought that was just a really interesting, he knew he wanted to come out strong and he knew he wanted to make it somewhat personal.
Yeah. How did you find doing it, Stace? I've never moderated a debate. I don't like doing televised things. I can sit here in front of a microphone like we're just having a conversation and not even think about the size of the audience. But the moment it's televised a seize up. Were you nervous?
I did it 4 years ago before the last, or 3 years ago, like a month out from the last election. And I hosted that one on my own. And that was a little bit more pressure, I think, because it was actually being broadcast on ABC TV. So we had to be in at 1:59, 58 seconds, and we had to have 1 minute of intro. So that one had to be very curated to time, because you know what TV's like. Well, you've got to be in and out at very specific times to the second. So this one, it felt a little bit more relaxed. And because I was moderating with Mike Smithson from Channel 7 as well, which was hard in itself when there are two people. You're trying to work out who's going to ask what question, who will do what, and also make sure you are being fair to both leaders, giving them an opportunity to give their policy positions while also not just letting them give the political answers they want to give, because that's the very nature of a debate, right? They only had 1 or 2 minutes to answer each question, and we want substance. We want to tackle the big issues of the state within an hour.
Well, it's good, like playing that water thing before. Good on you to pull them up, because they do try to crap their way through answers sometimes, politicians, in events like this. So it was good.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, good on you, Stacey.
Fascinating to listen to and fascinating to talk about, Stacey.
Thank you. It'll be a big 12 months ahead.
Who's in the hot seat?
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Well, you kind of
you were.
You had them
in the
both
hot
in the
I
hot
think
seat.
I was in the hot seat. I should be in the hot seat
for the
this
very
week.
first time, was in the hot seat. I like that. That's good. Thank you, Stace. Great to have you in.
Thank you.
All right, let's check traffic now. Thanks to Corporate Clean Property Services. They're referred for a reason. After all, they don't cut corners. They clean them.
Thanks, Will. Two-car collision to look out for at Elizabeth South this morning. Debris in the road, Oldham Road near Phillip Highway. The smash at Thorngate, Prospect Road near Fitzroy Terrace. And a little slow for works at the moment at Riverlea Park, Port Wakefield Road near Carmelo Road. Getting busy, South Road, Clovelly Park with a camera this morning, Cudmore Terrace, Hindley Beach. Grab a Bali bargain at Flight Centre with 2-for-1 flight packages. 8 nights plus flights from $3,649 for 2. Hurry, ends March 27. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Deliver more with Toyota, the world's #1 forklift brand. Choose from a great range including pallet jacks, walkie stackers and reach forklifts, right up to their leading Toyota counterbalance forklifts. Legendary reliability and safety with cleaner, greener electric options. Toyota can tailor the right forklift solution for you. It's all part of the Toyota Forklift Advantage. For more, visit toyotamaterialhandling.com.au. Get a Toyota forklift.
Hi, Sarah Wren here, Market Lead at 5AA. 2025 will mark my first year participating in the annual Vinnie's CEO Sleepout. On June 19, SA business and community leaders will gather at Adelaide Zoo for one night to raise funds and awareness for people who sleep rough every night. If you're a business or community leader, help break the cycle of homelessness by signing up at ceosleepout.org.au.
Friends are the family we choose, and we all need mates we can trust. Now, one of those mates has to have a trailer. That's a non-negotiable. The problem is this, though. They don't always have them available when you need them, so you need to find a mate like Matthew from Avis Truck Rental Adelaide.
What a mate Matt is. He's helped me out on a couple of occasions, more than a couple of occasions now, when I've had some moving stuff to do. Now, Matt runs the depot at Avis Truck Rental Adelaide. Avis, big name, big global brand. But you walk in there at the high place on Port Road, and it feels like a small family-run business, which is exactly what it is. Now, Matt knows exactly what's available at all times, and he's always happy to discuss the right vehicle that'll suit your needs. Whether you're moving house, picking up something from Mitre 10, planning a road trip, Avis Truck Rental Adelaide has got you covered. And do what I do, just go in and ask for the 5AA fixed price.
Trust your mate Matthew at Avis Truck Rental Adelaide. Open 7 days at 416 Port Road, West Hindmarsh. Book online at avis.com.au or call 8241 5200.
Hi, Daniel Tarley here, General Manager of Home. That's HAUME. Sometimes renovating an older home built before the 90s is just not worth the hassle, time or the cost. Instead, we buy your home as it is and give you as much time as you need to find your new dream home. We don't charge fees, there's no advertising costs or commissions. We just make the process of selling your home easy. Look out for a letter from us in your mailbox or visit home.com.au. That's HAUME.com.au.
The Hyundai Keys to Summer event ends soon. Unlock offers now. Visit Hyundai.com.au.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
4 minutes to 8. Something very strange happened at the Pet Stock Noarlunga store on Thursday, the 20th of March. So last Thursday, 2:20 p.m, 3 people broke in and stole a snake, a rare snake. Carmen from Pet Stock Noarlunga is on the line now. Carmen, good morning to you.
Morning, David and Will.
What type of snake was pinched?
It was a marbled children's python, a little hatchling.
Oh, no. So what, a little baby?
A little baby one, yep.
Oh, no.
Is that the only thing they stole, these people?
No, they stole the whole enclosure that Bok was in, and they also went through our dog aisles and stole a bunch of dog toys.
Oh, no. And so what time did it happen again, Carmen? I didn't...
It was in the afternoon around 2:20.
So that's like a really brazen theft, isn't it? Middle of the day, there would have been people in the shop, staff obviously there. They just... Did you know it was happening in real time, the robbery?
No, we didn't know it was happening in real time. They had, you could see from the footage, they had people keeping an eye out on where our staff were and customers were, and yep, they were in and out pretty quickly.
So how did they actually even get the snake? Did they just put their hand in and pick it up, or...?
No, they pushed open, so the enclosures are locked, so they had jammed open the door and slid the enclosure partially out, walked away, stole some dog toys, then came back and finished the job, took the whole enclosure with a snake in it.
Would they be able to...
In a bag.
Would they be able to resell it, Carmen, for lots of money? Is that the thing? Do you think what the plan would be?
I don't know. Legally, they can't. They're meant to have a permit to sell snakes.
Right.
And these sort of snakes do have specialist care that's required, so we're quite concerned about the welfare of this snake.
Well, I was going to say, as a baby snake, like, you know, you'd have to know what you were doing feeding it, wouldn't you not?
Yeah, 100%, and he is due for a feed today, so yes, they do need to be really closely monitored. They have special heat requirements, special feeding requirements, so you need to know what you're doing.
Is it particularly rare, the marble baby hatchling?
You don't see them around too often. They are captive bred by specialist reptile breeders, so they're not a cheap snake, no.
Geez. And obviously you've spoken to the police, and
yes. Yes.
If there's a way, if the people are listening, if the people who got the snake are listening, is there a way that they could drop it off, no questions asked?
Just bring it back. We are more concerned about the welfare of the snake and making sure that it is okay. Just bring it back. We'll take it. No questions asked. Just drop it off. We'll get a friend to drop it off.
Yeah. Maybe give you back the dog toys as well.
Seriously. Don't care about dog toys. We just want the snake back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what a miserable bunch of sods ripping off a pet store. People that love animals.
Poor
Crikey.
snake.
Yeah, it's awful. We hope it turns up all right for you, Carmen, and they find these people.
We really do. We hope so.
Hey, thank you for chatting with us. That's a very distressing story. That's the Pet Stock Noarlunga store. Carmen's the manager there. So they robbed in broad daylight of a rare animal.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Pinched a living thing that now you can hear in Carmen's voice. They're worried about its well-being. Just awful.
That's shocking.
Just shocking. All right. 5AA News is coming up, breaking at 8 in just a moment.
The latest local, national and international news for South Australia. This is 5AA News, always Adelaide.
The most frustrating thing about having your car repaired after a collision can be the wait. Sometimes months. At FIVEAA Panel Services, the wait is one thing you won't have to worry about. We've expanded our workshop and our highly skilled team. It means we're better equipped to deliver an outstanding outcome for you and your car. RAA and MTA approved, FIVEAA Panel Services work with most insurance companies. So ask for FIVEAA Panel Services and get back on the road sooner.
It's SA's biggest cover-up, and thousands of pool owners all over South Australia are implicated. Who's at the centre of it? Walco, of course. Put your pool to bed for winter with a Walco Guardian pool cover. Made right here in SA, a Walco Guardian pool cover will preserve your chemicals, keep your water clean, and you won't need to run your pump. The savings are amazing. Join the great cover-up and get a Walco Guardian pool cover. Visit walco.com.au.
When it comes to reducing pain and rebuilding strength, FIVEAA leaves nothing to chance. Our university-qualified health professionals don't just treat problem areas. They design personalised training programs using Swiss-engineered machines unique to FIVEAA. These machines safely isolate the affected area, test your strength, and help rebuild your muscles for a stronger, more active and healthier life. FIVEAA. Building strength with precision in Norwood.
Hi, Brett Ebbett here for Mawson Lakes Mazda. We've been doing deals on a huge range of 2024 plate Mazdas, and we've just received truckloads more of them, all priced to clear. These drive-away deals on new Mazdas include free 12 months rego, free stamp duty, and accessory packs worth $500. Yep, absolutely free. All exclusive to Mawson Lakes Mazda. No gimmicks, just great deals. Mawson Lakes Mazda, Salisbury Highway, T's and C's apply.
Stay informed, get involved. 5AA, always Adelaide.
The Hyundai Keys to Summer event ends soon. Unlock offers now. Visit Hyundai.com.au.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
Got this one in the top 10 Australian singles of all time.
It's a great song.
Oh, so good.
I was going to say,
what a record.
There is one thing we wouldn't mind changing at the moment for our listeners, certainly those watching on the Facebook and YouTube live stream. There is no sound during the news at the moment, so that's not your computer that's playing. I'm getting a few texts on the Police Home Care text line about that. It's
only on the live stream.
On the live stream. It's all part of the adjustment. As if you're looking on the live stream, we see we're in the new studio and it looks fantastic. It's all whiz-bang and spectacular, but there's just one of the little teething problems that we're having this morning, so we apologise for that. We'll have it fixed up as soon as possible.
I had a major teething problem when I arrived for work. I went and sat in the studio on the 4th floor and thought, that's funny, I'm doing the entire show on my own today. And then realised you're all on the 3rd floor.
They've pulled the plug out of that one, I think. You were doing very much talking to yourself.
From my vast back catalogue of excuses for not actually being on air, that's a new one, Will.
Hey, this week would have been the week that the Adelaide Oval grounds team would have been hastily preparing the deck for the Sheffield Shield final. It would have started today. Instead, it's starting as originally scheduled on Wednesday. 10:35 a.m. South Australia taking on Queensland. Just got a call from Dave Lloyd, our Alberton correspondent, was driving past and said Karen Rolton Oval this morning is an absolute hive of activity. They're trying to have it ready for 10 to 15,000 people and have it all set up.
I know you were fired up about it not being played at the Adelaide Oval. I actually always thought Karen Rolton was a better place for it because Adelaide Oval wasn't going to be packed.
No,
starting on a Monday, and it would have looked kind of sad and
empty. It's the romance of it.
10,000 people there.
No, but it didn't. What about 95, 96?
Yeah, that's true.
It's where, Victor Richardson Gates and the Edmund Smith Stand.
I get the history part of it.
It's just but it wasn't going to be. I'm a sports romantic, David.
Oh, I know you are. Well, up to a point, you still want to, get rid of the hill, don't you?
Well, I mean, utility has a place, doesn't it?
Yeah, right. Yeah. That is sacrilege. We should break.
But you're right. You know what? Karen Rolton Oval is a terrific venue.
I love it.
It looks spectacular. It'll be great. No doubt about it. And it's interesting now, all the work being done this morning. So if you're on the drive into the city from Port Road, coming up that way, you'll no doubt drive past it and see for yourself. But right now, you're right. It is time for breaking note.
Well, the question of working from home has emerged as a key policy battleground ahead of the looming federal election. The opposition leader, Peter Dutton, has come out and said that not his words, but basically the party's over, and he's got productivity concerns about how this has become a permanent feature of life, particularly in the public service. Conversely, Anthony Albanese over the weekend has pointed to research showing how seriously out of pocket Australian workers could be if they have to revert to the Monday to Friday 9 to 5 model, costing them so much in transport, be it car or public transport, and also childcare. Melissa Donnelly is the National Secretary of the CPSU, which represents Australia's many public servants. Melissa, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Do you think that there has been any reduction in productivity as a result of working from home?
Well, the research actually shows that working arrangements where people spend some time in the office and some time working from home are actually more productive. The research that the Coalition even relied on actually showed this. So I think what we have at the moment is a situation where there's productivity for the boss, for the employer, there's a flexibility for the employee, and it's working in everyone's interest.
Do you think, though, I mean, you say sometime at home, sometime at work. My reading, I had a look about 6 months ago at some of the federal statistics, and it looks like there are actually a lot of people who actually spend their entire work time at home now. Is that correct?
No, it's actually very few who spend their entire time working at home. I think it's around 5 or 6%. It's quite a small number. And that might often be the federal public service is obviously a full national system. It might be that there's someone in Adelaide who has really specific experience, but the office is in Canberra. And what that actually means is more people can apply for that job. Overwhelmingly, what we see in the federal public service is the hybrid arrangement. 2 days in the office, 3 days at home, or, a day at home and 4 days in the office, etc.
In terms of the election campaign itself, I mean, when you hear the government, the Albanese government, quantifying how much money workers would lose, is that something where the union would step in and look at flexing its industrial muscle if some sort of coalition mandated policy was implemented saying, no, that's it, everybody has to go back to work?
Well, in the federal public service, we've negotiated rights in the enterprise agreement for people to request the right for flexibility in working from home, and there's clear processes about how that has to be handled. So Peter Dutton's idea that he can just come in, win the election, and on Monday order everyone back to the office isn't actually consistent with what the industrial agreements are that exist currently. So it's not clear exactly how the coalition would do this. They've chopped and changed a little bit, and I think unfortunately we're seeing in this space, like in others, Dutton copy the ideas from America and from Trump and really just try to impose them over here in Australia.
What's the logic, though, for having work from home at all now, given that it was a pandemic idea? Is it your view that whatever necessitated working from home, in this case obviously a pandemic, it has exposed benefits that should continue to be enjoyed?
I think that's absolutely right. Obviously, as everyone recalls, we sort of had to shift from working in the office to working from home overnight when the pandemic hit. But what evidence has shown, what people's experiences have shown, is that it is just as productive when you have hybrid working arrangements, if not more productive. And for workers, it means that you can coach your kids, soccer team one night a week. You don't spend hours in the car commuting every day. There is real flexibility and benefits for employees, and it's not at the cost of productivity. In most cases, it's more productive.
What would you say, though, we're getting texts along these lines, what would you say to people who are running a small business who go, I wouldn't mind coaching my kids' footy team on a Tuesday afternoon, except I have a job and I can't actually choose not to do my job because I want to go and have some quality time with the family?
Look, I would say that people working at home are still working. In fact, working very hard and often working additional hours.
They're not if they're coaching their kids' footy team, which is what you just said.
No, in the evening. So if you avoid the hour commute, that means you can get to 6 o'clock footy training down the road. If you're stuck in the car for an hour driving across the suburbs of Adelaide, then you're not going to be able to do that. It's about the flexibility that people have at other points in the day. Undoubtedly, people are still working pretty hard when they're at home, and often, the evidence also shows often working longer hours because they don't have the hour, 2 hours in the car at the beginning and the end of the day.
Melissa Donnelly, the CPSU National Secretary, thanks for joining us this morning for Breaking at 8.
Thank you very much.
A lot of feedback. A lot of feedback on the police home care text line, most of it negative, and a lot of it, as I said, from people who are running small businesses, and also some on behalf of other public servants who don't have the luxury of working from home. One here from Elkie saying, it's pretty unfair when you think about the real workers in society, police, medical, aged care, and also makes the point shop staff can't sort of skive off. Although Melissa's point is no one's skiving off, they're actually working. It would be good to see some totally dispassionate research on this, wouldn't it?
Completely. Because I think my gut feeling is it should be left to the discretion of the employer.
Yeah.
Now, the problem with the public service, I guess people would push back and say, is do we have a robust enough set of KPIs to make sure people are doing the right thing? To me, which then that feels like the problem, not the work from home. Like if people
that
can
it's a broader cultural issue.
Well, yeah, if that's the issue here, it's not then just working from home. It's that you can't, because I think like in the private sector, there are clearly businesses that are still allowing work from home. Now, when the output of your employees determines whether you still make money and have a job in a business, like you're not doing it out of the kindness of your heart. So there is clearly some scenarios where it makes perfect sense.
The thing
Otherwise,
I
they
find
wouldn't do it.
The thing that makes me suspicious about it, there's some statistics out of Sydney about the city population on a Monday and a Friday. Apparently Sydney CBD, so, Martin Place and environs on a Friday. Apparently you can fire a cannon down Martin Place without hitting anyone on a Friday these days. And I sort of think, well, if you're going to work from home, why is Friday the day you choose to do it? Is that because you can do a little bit of tinkering in the morning on the Penske file and then, head off down to St George's Basin by 1 p.m. to beat the rush? Possibly. Probably.
Yeah, look.
Like if you're working from home on a Wednesday, it's a bit different. But the fact that Friday seems to be the day, Monday and Friday seem to be the 2 days that people really love, suggests that the work day's starting to look a little bit like the weekend. And let's be honest about it. If you were in that position, isn't that exactly what you'd do?
Yeah.
You'd stay up late. I suppose you could say, well, actually, if you're getting the work done, who cares?
Well, that's...
Because you might stay up late Thursday night, nailing the Penske file.
Totally. And then you
so
get Friday...
that you can go to St George's Basin.
It gives you the
Friday
freedom of stuff
afternoon.
like that.
But equally, you might not.
Which is why it feels to me, this is like the energy... This is another version of the energy rebate question. Do you tackle the issue of whether we should have rebates or the underlying driver, which is what leads to high power prices? Like, this seems to me, if you don't have a robust set of criteria on which to evaluate people and make decisions about their employment, which is very well protected in the public service, well, then you end up in a position where, if given some leniency, you can't make decisions around whether this is working for you or not, or even adequately assess whether it's working or not. Like, there's no way banks are letting people work from home. I'm telling you right now, if they're going, well, we just did this because it was kind of the vibe.
Yeah. No, they're doing it because they're still making a whole stack of money.
Yeah, the last time I saw the profit statement,
I'll tell you what I never want to do again, Will. That's work from home with you.
No, that was miserable.
My God.
That was
how did we survive that? What was it, 3 months?
Hey, whilst that debate was going on as well, that was awful. It was a couple of things that have been happening. I can see one of the big points that the federal government are going to be talking about in the lead up to the budget. The Prime Minister just tweeted news, we're going to fully fund every school in Australia. Now, this is the big picture version of a story that we covered late January, where they were going around state government by state government to come up with a funding agreement with all the various states.
Is this the Gonski thing?
This is the thing where it's $1 billion in additional funding over the course of the next 10 years for South Australian schools. And I think what they're saying out of the budget now is we've come up with one of those agreements with every single school in Australia. That's the Commonwealth contribution lifts from 20% to 25%. So I suspect you're going to hear a bit more about that over the course of the day. The other thing that's happened
This is like the reversal of what Trump's doing, isn't it? Because Trump's announced that there's no longer going to be a federal education
department. They're devolving
department.
it back to the states.
The states are going to run everything.
Yeah, well, we're funding it more centrally.
How can we make government even bigger?
Might be a bit about how taxes are collected in Australia as well.
Yeah,
that has a bit to do with it. There are states with income tax in the United States, where we only have the federal government with an income tax. Car and bus have collided as well. Lower Portrush Road at Payneham Road, Martin. Huge delays, we're being told, because of that this morning. Paul in Hawthorn's called into the program. Morning to you, Paul.
G'day, mate. How are you?
Good, mate.
Good, thanks, Paul.
It's a lot harder to get on the golf course during the week now that working from home has become so much in vogue. Because all the work's being done out on the golf course, apparently.
Well, it's a good place to network, Paul, I guess.
Definitely. But,
hasn't stopped Donald Trump.
Public servants don't need to network, do they?
Where do you play, Paul?
Down at the Glenelg Golf Course.
Oh, lucky you. What a course.
Beautiful place to be.
Yeah. Excellent. Good on you, Paul.
Good on you, Paul. Thank you. Keep your thoughts coming in, 8223000, or the Police Home Care text line, 0448081395.
Quite a lot of people defending it. One here, you guys are wrong what you're inferring about working from home just because you guys can't work from home.
I'm not anti-work from home.
You're not?
Not at all.
As long as the work gets done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. Although the thing that worries me is the lack of collaboration. You know, like the idea, like you can run a newspaper with everyone working from home, but where's the fun of a group of 5 of you standing around trying to work out headlines?
Sure.
Or saying, hang on, you know, what about we happen? Let's FOI this. You know, like it's harder to get that sort of collaborative, spontaneous thinking happening when you're all in your lounge.
Completely. But
and mentoring too.
As a defender of it, I'm not suggesting that it should be the norm.
How does the young kid benefit from older experience if everyone's working remotely?
Yeah. But I don't think anyone's arguing everything should be done remotely.
Well, some people are.
Or are they just saying there should be the flexibility to on a certain day of a week or take certain times? Like you've talked about here on the past about gun journos who would disappear from the office for 3 weeks and then you just could trust them to come back with the biggest story in the world. Like I don't see that to me feels like the same sort of idea. You trust guns.
Yeah.
You trust good people.
Yeah.
All right. Keep them coming in. 04801395.
To be continued.
23 after 8. We're going to check traffic and come back with more in just a moment. Corporate Clean Property Services, they're referred for a reason after all. They don't cut corners, they clean them.
Thanks, Will. At Marden, Carvey Bus on Lower Port Rice Road at Paynham Road. Elizabeth South, delays clearing from an Elliott 2-car collision, Oldham Road near Phillip Highway. And slow for works this morning at Banksia Park, Hancock Road near Milne Road. Busy South Road at Edwardstown with the Cameron Military Road at Grange. Can you get amazing entertainment without paying a single cent? Yes, you can. Check out award-winning comedy, dramas and kid shows free and ad-free on ABC iView. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The 5AA Sports Show. Rowie and Timmy G.
Well done to young Christian Moraes. He's only just turned 18 last November, so he is fresh as they get.
This sounds like a Josh Carr lever, Paul. I reckon, and I know this for a fact, Josh Carr's worked very closely with Christian Moraes. He's really invested a lot of time with him.
The 5AA Sports Show.
This has got Josh Carr stamp all over it.
Weekdays from 4 p.m. on 5AA. Always Adelaide.
Are you in the draw? Just 4 days to go for the chance to live mortgage-free in Somerton Park. Only 4 days to buy your tickets in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. Live the dream, mortgage-free in a fully furnished Scott Salisbury home with $500,000 cash. The absolute final deadline is midnight Friday. Life-changing prizes. Life-changing impact. HomeLottery.com 146.
Rowie and I, who have invested in the magnificently sleek and reliable Vulcan doors. Rowie, could you step outside for a moment, please?
Oh, why is it always me outside?
Thank you. Vulcan doors offer automatic pedestrian doors as well as highly secure industrial roller doors and shutters.
Oi, Timmy!
So keep out the heat as well as the pests that come with it.
Turbo, when are you going to let me back in?
Vulcan doors.
Timmy!
Separate yourself from the rest, literally.
Oi!
Now, this is quite the cover-up, and Walco is at the centre of it. Now, that's the good kind of cover-up because this is going to save you time and money.
We got one of these, and the good thing is if you've had them on for like a week of 30 degrees, it actually gets the pool nice and toasty. Also keeps the pool clean. If you haven't got your SA-made Walco Guardian pool cover ready to go, now's the time to get in touch with Steve and the team at Walco.
The locally made Walco Guardian pool cover will preserve your chemicals, it keeps your water clean, and it means you don't have to run your pump all winter. That's a nice thing to think about with the energy bills going the way they are.
It saves you a lot of money, and these things you can basically batten down the hatches for winter Walco, though, they're always improving. They've gone one better with their stylish new mesh cover. The cover's perfect if your pool is the main focus of your yard, needs to look amazing all year round. It never sags, unlike some of us.
So if looks matter, join the great cover-up and ask Walco about their stylish new mesh pool covers. No more details, please. Visit walco.com.au.
The most frustrating thing about having your car repaired after a collision can be the wait. Sometimes months. At FIVEAA Panel Services, the wait is one thing you won't have to worry about. We've expanded our workshop and our highly skilled team. It means we're better equipped to deliver an outstanding outcome for you and your car. RAA and MTA approved, FIVEAA Panel Services work with most insurance companies. So ask for FIVEAA Panel Services and get back on the road sooner.
Simplicity Funerals make funeral planning the way it should be. Simple. With our easy and straightforward packages, it has never been simpler to organise a respectful funeral. Visit simplicityfunerals.com.au or call us 24/7 to get started today.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
The Hyundai Keys to Summer event ends soon. Unlock offers now. Visit Hyundai.com.au.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
Coming up after 8:30 this morning, we're going to head as close as we think we can get to the scene of a rescue that's going to take place a little bit later today of a group of people in a Captiva that got caught trying to make the trek from Adelaide to Darwin. They're okay. We know their well-being is secure because police have dropped food to them. They've sent a phone to them. They're in contact with them. They're going to be rescued a little bit later today. We're going to get close to the area just to try and get a sense of how often this happens and how many people drive through the area and so forth. That's coming up after 8:30. And then we're concerned about the plight of the poor old Karma Cafe that got robbed and now has to shut down. And so it's one of these coffee vans that someone's put their whole life and livelihood into. We were going to chat with them, and they're just feeling too awful to come on, which is totally understandable. So there's a GoFundMe page that's set up to try and help them get through what is a really difficult time, and we're going to be chatting with the person who's behind that after 8:30 also.
Text here, your assumption that being in an office physically means you work more shows how often you have been in an office. Our department requires 50% in office. I can assure you that I work part-time, 0.7 on paper, as an SA public servant, turn my laptop back on after hours, weekends to finish off work. Way more than a 0.7 the SA taxpayer is paying for. I also have a daughter with a disability, which makes the flexibility useful. Your comments are offensive, particularly to women. Okay, sorry. Are we just having a conversation here?
Yeah, it's a debate. It's a policy debate in Australia.
Don't you think people who say, that's offensive, I'm offended? Seriously, lighten up. Lighten up. Offensive these days means I don't agree with your opinion.
Yeah.
And I don't actually think I've really put a particularly strong one on this at all. We've just been talking about the pros and the cons. Anyway, I'm sorry you're offended.
It's a live policy debate in the context of a federal election that's going to happen in 6 or 7 weeks' time.
Maybe we'd just talk about something less divisive, like, it's a nice sunny day again. Yeah, not a cloud in the sky, Will.
It is a beautiful sunny day.
Isn't it?
I mean, incidentally, I know you're making a point, but it's pretty nice out there.
You got any plans for later? I'm going to the dump.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm going to the Thebarton dump.
We're both big Thebarton dump guys. It's a great dump.
I love going to the dump.
Good place,
I mean,
good setup.
I don't want to offend people who don't like going to the dump, but I like going to the dump. I'm not saying you have to go to the dump, though. And if you're incapable of getting to the dump, I'm not trying to be... It's a beautiful day, though, isn't it?
Big shout out to our mates at the Thebarton dump, though. It's a good
spot.
They
are good, and
it's cheap.
They listen to 5AA as well.
I knew I liked them.
They know Matt from Mavis Truck and Car Rental as well. Because one day I went in there with one of his, and they said, you've been to Matt's, have you? I went, this is his.
5AA News is coming up. Back with more shortly.
This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Frankie said she's a fan of impersonation.
Thank you very much.
But not of people impersonating Australia Post. That's why we've made all delivery updates available on the AusPost app, so she'll know they're from us, and us alone. You ask, we deliver at Australia Post.
Adelaide's local, trusted and truly connected talkback radio station. 5AA. Always Adelaide.
It's no secret. Donor conception laws have changed in South Australia. A donor conception register is now available online. If you're donor conceived and aged 18 or over, have ever donated sperm, eggs or embryos, even back in the 1970s, or received a donor conception treatment in SA, learn more by visiting sahealth.sa.gov.au/donor conception. A message from the Government of South Australia.
If you need to fix your pipes, call Precise. Call Precise. If your toilet's blocking up, call Precise. Call Precise. If your lights aren't turning on, or your hot water is gone, or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Precise.
Precise Plumbing and Electrical. Call 1300 700 200. That's 1300 700 200. Precise Plumbing and Electrical. Local and experienced trade specialists.
Or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Call Precise.
Mario Maiolo Promotions and 5AA present Blowin' in the Wind, honouring Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Bob Dylan with friends Johnny Cash, Joan Baez and the Travelling Wilburys. Come celebrate the legends who contributed to cultural change through inspired lyrics and songs of revolution with an amazing cast. The times they're a-changing, folks, so don't think twice because it's all right. Blowin' in the Wind, Her Majesty's Theatre, Friday 23rd of May. Book now at Ticketek.
Oh, geez, it's hot in here. Can someone pass the Morford air? Oh, that's better.
When the temperature is too hot or cold to bear, reach for the Morford Air, Adelaide's own homegrown family air conditioning company. Morford Air has kept South Australians perfectly comfortable for over 50 years. So when it's too hot or cold to bear, you can always reach for the Morford Air. Look for the bright blue building at 602 Marion Road or visit morfordair.com.au.
Morford.
Build a roof over your decking, a roof over your car. Alpha Industries are the best by far. A roof over your Barbie, a roof over your beers. Alpha Industries last for donkey's years. A roof over your swimming pool, a roof over your boat. Alpha Industries, ask us for a quote. Build a roof over your grandma or anything you please. Verandas, sheds and carports, Alpha Industries.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube. The Hyundai Keys to Summer event ends soon. Unlock offers now. Visit Hyundai.com.au.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
20 minutes to 9, we're going to be chatting with the organiser of the GoFundMe for the Karma Cafe that will be closing down, the beloved coffee van that was hit by heartless thieves, stole everything, they got nothing left.
Did they ever? They went through it like a dose of salt.
Well, they literally
left.
took the coffee machine.
Yeah.
There's just literally nothing.
Which I guess if you're in the coffee making business,
makes it hard.
One bit of kit you really need.
I know you're a fan, but not many people will pay $6 for an instant.
An international roast.
Yeah, you would.
Well, maybe not 6.
Yeah, $4.50 though would get you across the line.
Oh yeah,
I reckon you'd have your thought.
Foam cup and all.
All right. A little bit earlier in the morning, we caught up with SAPOL to have a talk about this, a rescue that's going to be effected a little bit later today for a group lost in the Outback. Have a listen.
Of course, we're sending out a lot more resources to the area, which is essentially just this side of the Northern Territory border, just north of Oodnadatta. So a significant search was underway for the 4 people that were stranded in a black Holden Captiva that we put a photo out, but we are in contact with them. We've managed to drop food and supplies with them and a satellite phone as well. So there doesn't appear to be any immediate welfare concerns. So we'll organise the rescue of the group during this morning.
Now, when you're sending out a satellite phone, that's a sign that you are pretty remote and it's hard to get in contact. Our challenge this morning has been how close can we get to where these people are? And it's taken us on what is effectively a short, enjoyable drive for 15 hours and 57 minutes north of Adelaide to the Mount Dare Hotel. Shaney Scott joins us on 5AA Breakfast. Shaney, good morning to you.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
We're good, thank you, Shaney. Now, I had never heard of Mount Dare until now. You are really quite a long way away from Adelaide, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. We're the most remote pub in South Australia, if not Australia.
So the actual drive from Adelaide, Shaney, how long does it take roughly?
It's usually about, I do it in 2 days.
2 days?
That's not 8 to 9 hours driving.
Yeah, looking at it on the map, but it says here, it says on my maps that it's 21 and a half hours. Is that surely it's not that long, is it?
Yep. It is.
Crikey.
But we're worth coming up to see.
Mine said 16. Hey, so Shaney, what's the terrain like in the area, and does it surprise you that a group of people could come to some grief out there?
Not at all. We're very sandy, being in the desert, and we've just had a massive amount of rain, and we've been in drought for quite a long time. So up Mount Dare, we got 65 mil, which 65 mil up here is huge. As a result, we have a levee bank that protects the hotel and the two houses. But on the other side of the levee bank, it's absolutely a lake. And we have recovery gear, and there's no way we can get in or out.
Do you see people getting into strife up there fairly often, Shaney?
We do quite a few recoveries, but not with locals normally. Normally it's tourists who don't have any idea what it's like up here and who don't have the right cars or situation. So yeah, we do quite a few, but as I said, not locals.
Well, I guess locals, they know the lie of the land. It's people sort of going up, particularly in something like a Holden Captiva, who might be asking for trouble.
Exactly, and the people who are in the car have lived here all their lives, and they know the land better than anybody. And we all knew that there was rain coming, and a lot of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Who's your clientele at the Mount Dare Hotel, Shaney? When people are coming in to slake their thirst after a hot day of work, what have they been doing typically?
Well, we don't have many locals, but the locals that we do have are mainly ringers and station owners. So if they're mustering nearby, they'll come in and have a few cold beers or whatever when they get back. But mainly it's tourists. And so we're on the western side of the Simpson Desert. So all the four-wheel drivers that are here to do the desert, they all come here for fuel supplies and a beverage or two.
I'm looking at a photo. Is your pub the one that has the display of all the hats suspended from the roof?
We've got hats and stubby holders and shirts, and that's how we raise money for the Flying Doctors. So anybody who comes in, they donate $10 to put a stubby holder up, or $25 for a hat, and $50 for a shirt, and that all goes to the Flying Doctors.
What a great idea! It looks spectacular.
Yeah, it's quite decorative too.
Can I ask, Shaney, how long have you been living in Mount Dare?
10 years. So my parents own it, and they've just recently retired, and I run it.
And where were you before that? Were you a city girl at any stage, or have you always lived in the Outback?
Absolutely. I lived in a city in Melbourne for quite a long time, and then we were raised in the high country in Victoria. And then one day my parents came and said they'd bought a pub.
What's it like living in such an isolated place? And also, when you say, I've got to go to town to get something, where's town for you?
Well, our local corner shop is Alice Springs, and that's a minimum 5.5 hour drive for us.
You wouldn't want to forget the milk.
No, exactly. And that does happen, believe me.
You've never had to turn around and go back to get something, have you? It's different go down the road to Foodland if you've forgotten something.
We have, believe me, we have.
Oh, crikey. What an amazing way to live.
Great insight.
Do you ever get lonely?
No, not really, because when we're not flooded in, we have people coming in all the time, and we have neighbours. I mean, they might be a fair way away, but we still go over for dinner, and they come down here and visit us for lunch or dinner. And then once the season starts, we're so busy, no chance to get lonely.
What's it like now that it's rained? Do you get all birds turning up out of nowhere and stuff?
Well, we're lucky. We have a little, within the compound area or the levee bank, we have a little dam. And so when it's really dry, we're the only water source. So we get all sorts of animals here. Like yesterday, the day before yesterday, there was a dingo drinking out just near our beer garden. We have thousands upon thousands of budgies and finches and cockatiels, galahs, all sorts. It's amazing.
Wow.
Kangaroos come and drink up here. It's really amazing.
And what's on, being right on the border, Shaney, what's on tap? Is it Cooper's or is it Great Northern or what is it?
Well, we're a bit small to have on tap, so we just sell W's and cans.
Oh, perfect. What's the one you trade in the most? What's the most popular?
I'd say the 4X and our Cooper's Pale Ale.
Yeah.
And is it also? Do you feel like do people there all identify as South Australians, or is there more of a sort of NT feel, or is it one of those places
We're both.
Yeah.
We're both actually. So we go by Northern Territory time because we're so close to the border, but we identify as South Australians.
And is it a footy town? People don't watch league there. It's all Aussie rules.
Well, being from Victoria, myself and a mad Collingwood supporter, so the football's always on, but we do watch rugby as well.
Excellent.
Oh, great to chat with you, Shaney. Thanks for talking to us.
What a life. Fantastic. Good on you, Shaney.
Yeah, certainly sounds like it. Remarkable. I
Good to know you can get pale ale there too.
I encourage anyone listening to go online and have a look at pictures of inside the pub where you can see the fundraiser they do for the Royal Flying Doctors, where they have the stubbies and the hats and the shirts and everything suspended from the ceiling. The Mount Dare Hotel, as close as we could certainly get to the rescue that's going to take place a little bit later today in country that it sounds like, at very least to the locals, it's not that surprising that people got into some strife.
Big thanks to the deluge of excellent listeners who've texted in on the home care text line, police home care text line as well, defending the imperiled art of open conversation and the idea that you can actually talk about things from different sides without it necessarily being regarded as offensive, particularly like the Dostoevsky quote.
Yeah,
that was good. And Bianca in Summertown, this is apropos of the chat we had before condemning the bludgers who robbed the Good Karma coffee van. Bianca says, David, your reference to heartless thieves in the coffee cart, I'm offended because I'm a thief, but I always do it with heart. Your commentary is unwarranted. I'll have you know that I plan all of my robberies with love and compassion.
That's nice.
Sorry, Bianca. And it's a beautiful sunny day outside.
11 to 9. Let's check traffic. I'm going to talk about the Good Karma Cafe very shortly. Corporate Clean Property Service. They're referred for a reason. After all, they don't cut corners. They clean them.
Thanks, Will. At Marden, Carvey bus on Lower Portrush Road at Paynham Road. Pretty big delays around that whole intersection there. Avoid that if you can. Slow for works at Riverlea Park, Port Wakefield Road near Carmelo Road. Getting busy South Road at the Crossroad overpass. And look out for cameras this morning. East Terrace, Henley Beach. And got one as we speak. Lady Gary Drive at Taparoo. The OMG event is here. Drive away the all-new MGHS, the perfect family SUV from $34,888 plus 10-year warranty. Test drive today. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Are you in the draw? Just 4 days to go for the chance to live mortgage-free in Somerton Park. Only 4 days to buy your tickets in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. Live the dream, mortgage-free in a fully furnished Scott Salisbury home with $500,000 cash. The absolute final deadline is midnight Friday. Life-changing prizes, life-changing impact. HomeLottery.com.au. License M14673.
Let's see what's in the swear jar at Buy Urban Bathrooms and Kitchens. Here's one from Jasmine, the operations manager at Buy Urban and the driving force behind the success of all renovation projects. Jasmine swears to ensure all the trades arrive on time, every time, to ensure a seamless transition to your stunning Buy Urban bathroom. For a team that swears to deliver on quality and service, see Buy Urban Bathrooms and Kitchens, Adelaide's home renovation experts.
Building a home is exciting. The possibilities are almost endless, but for a seamless and enjoyable building experience, it is crucial to choose the right builder. It will make all the difference.
It's the very reason why so many South Australians trust Rossdale Homes. With over 40 years of experience, the team at Rossdale are your local experts in custom designs, SDA housing, knockdown rebuilds, house and land packages, and more.
And of course, this is the key with Rossdale. They're great people. They're so reputable. Rossdale Homes are synonymous for its absolute fixed price contract. It means means that there are no hidden costs, only peace of mind.
So if you're ready to build with a team that puts you first at every stage of the building process, choose Rossdale Homes, because trust is a must.
Walco is making headlines again for SA's biggest cover-up. If you own a pool, it will affect you in the best possible way. For those whose pool is the main feature of their yard, Walco offer a special mesh cover to keep debris and leaves out, while making your pool area look stunning all through winter. If looks matter, join the great cover-up and ask Walco about their stylish new mesh pool covers. Visit walco.com.au.
The Hyundai Keys to Summer event ends soon. Unlock offers now. Visit Hyundai.com.au.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
7 minutes to 9. Just with regard to the rescue that's going to take place a little bit later today, out not far from Mount Dare, as we chatted with Sheenie Scott from the hotel a moment ago. We have been in touch with SAPOL and the SA Ambulance Service, and we are very hopeful that we might be able to have on tomorrow a rescue pilot or someone who was involved in the actual extraction of these people, which would be great to hear about.
Why would they have named a mountain after the 1983 album by the Human League, though? That's what I was wondering. Maybe it was discovered by someone with a really good new wave haircut. Don't you want me?
That's possibly why. We should have had Sheenie on, and we could have asked her precisely that. Hey, one story we have been following over the course of the morning, and indeed this weekend, was the sad story of the Good Karma Cafe, which is one of these beloved coffee vans that got robbed. And when we say robbed, you described it before the break, David, as they were totally cleaned out, nothing left.
Yeah,
and so much so the person running it, who, based on what they've been posting on social media, doesn't sound like they have exactly giant amount of cash reserves to go and reinvest in the business. So they've said it's not going to continue. Well, the good customers down south said that isn't going to stand for us. We're not happy with that. And a GoFundMe has been organised. It has raised already $10,940. So much, in fact, that there is a chance that now the coffee business could get back up and running and overcome the fact that some petty low-life criminals almost derailed it entirely. Amy Davey started that GoFundMe page and joins us on 5AA Breakfast now. Amy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Dave and Will.
So, Amy, I guess the fact that there's already been such an outpouring of financial support shows just how big a deal this coffee van was for the people in Christie's.
Oh, absolutely. And just hearing that total, I'm completely blown away. It's gone up a lot since I first checked this morning. But, yeah, Good Karma are a massive part of our community down at Christie's Beach.
How long's the GoFundMe been going? Because that looks like a pretty solid start.
Yeah, well, we heard on Friday morning that, the van had been robbed. And I think by mid-afternoon, I'd got Sky's blessing to set it up. And, off I went.
Oh, crikey. Amazing.
Now, the owner, who we spoke to this morning, but understandably they said, look, I'm sorry, but it's a bit stressful at the moment and I'm not sure I can do the interview, has posted over the course of the weekend saying it looked like the end of the business. Well, you posted in the last 24 hours saying, well, given everyone's generosity, maybe it's not. Have you got any indication, Amy, about whether they may actually be able to trade because of the GoFundMe page that you set up?
Yeah, absolutely. And, as you said earlier on, everything was taken, damaged, destroyed. I mean, they even poured milk all over everything that was left. Coffee machine, coffee was taken, everything. So I think to start up again, replace and repair everything, it was going to be at least 10 grand's worth. So hopefully now we've hit that target. It's going to get them on their way to get back up and running. Have
you got some experience with the GoFundMes, Amy, or is this your first one?
This is my first time ever. I had no idea how to set one up. I've donated to a lot of them in the past, but, I felt that I had to do something. And being a member of the Surf Life Saving Club down at Christie's Beach, which is where Good Karma is situated, I felt a bit of a responsibility to do something.
Because they're on Beach Road, aren't they, Amy?
So it's on the Esplanade. So they're set up right in front of the Surf Life Saving Club. So I'm a surf life saver there at the club, and that's where we patrol, and we have a lot of members, and their place right there. It's right by where the park
they'd be like family then. You'd know them really well.
Yeah.
This is a good reminder, isn't it, Amy? You don't mess with the Surf Life Saving Club, do you?
No, absolutely. You know, we're a big family there down at Christie's Beach. It's a great community. And, you know, something like this happens, it rocks you. But, you know, then when you see all the generosity of everybody, it makes you remember that we've got such a beautiful community down there.
Yeah, it is a wonderful spot, wonderful beach as well. So we'll keep close watch on this story, Amy, because it sounds like there's a chance that it might actually have a happy ending.
Oh, I really hope so. And, you know, I encourage everyone just to, you know, when they are back up and running, come down. They make great coffee. You know, come down and support them. And yeah, fingers crossed for a bright future.
Absolutely. Good on you, Amy. Amy Davey there from the excellent Christie's Beach Surf Lifesaving Club.
So in the space of the 24 hours, that's turned into a really sad story about someone who's, because of crime, isn't going to be able to run their small business any longer, to, thanks to the generosity of the local community, they might just be able to.
Despite what you were saying before, Will, when I do on occasions buy a real coffee, I always go, this actually tastes really good.
Oh, you've softened in your old age then, because I remember a years back you were very anti the coffee.
I just regard coffee as a delivery mechanism for caffeine.
Could you imagine if someone said to you...
It's like on a Friday night, if the only thing you had in the house was a box of Coolabah Riesling, you'd end up drinking it. You know, you're in it for the caffeine in the same way that...
But I reckon you'd slap someone. If I said to you, I don't get for good food preparation. I think it's a carrier service for, you know, protein and carbohydrates.
Well, no, that food...
You'd slap me in the face if I said that.
Yeah, I know, I would. It's weird, isn't it? But having said that, there's a time and a place for a Chico roll.
It's a fair point. That's a good place to end things. 5AA News is coming up. Graham Goodings is next. We'll catch you tomorrow morning from 6 o'clock.
Coming up next on 5AA, the stories that matter to Adelaide with 5AA Mornings. Get involved in the conversation. Call 8223 0000. Listen in crisp, clear, digital sound. Tune in with the 5AA Player app.